Morning.
Okay, I'm going to take you through Exhibit X13C, in bracket C. There are two lab numbers there. There is lab 1 in brackets 9, and the second lab is in brackets 3. I'm not sure what's the number of this report.
Can you please come again?
I see there are two lab numbers on these exhibits.
One is number embili laboratory lana.
I'm asking the number of this report. Is it report number what?
Sikwazi ukuthi ke njoba kune number embili zama laboratory lana iyiphe kuyona.
Malo, the lab number, the first one,
Yes.
217-267/14, 9 in bracket.
Yes.
It means it's the 9th
Report.
report of the examination on this case.
Okay. So
then-
which one is this? Is this the 9th one or the 3rd one?
The 9th one. And then on the Cleveland case, on lab number 34369/2015-3, it's the 3rd report on that one.
Lapha ke umbiko 217267/2014 in brackets 9 kusho ukuthi oweshagalolunye umbiko wale case yase Phosphorus case 63610 of 2014 kodwa ke lenye ke inumber ulab 34369 of 2015 in brackets 3 kusho ukuthi umbiko wesithathu waleli cala leli eli Cleveland case 9602 of 2015.
Can you also double check, Colonel, the last page, if are we using the same document? The last page, it's 7 of 7, which it was commissioned on the 4th of May 2020.
Ke ikhasi lokugcina lapho kuthiwa la commission ngomhla ka4 ku May 2020
That's correct,
Is
ma'am.
that correct?
bathi yebo kunjalo.
Okay, Colonel, briefly, in my introduction, I also want to introduce you into the record.
Ngifuna ukukwethula ke la ekuqoshweni.
In terms of your qualifications, Colonel,
Ngifuna ukuveza ke izifundo zakho.
on paragraph 2 of this report, you have stated your qualifications and the dates or the year in which you started in the forensic ballistic, which is 1995.
Lapha ke embikweni ubhalile ukuthi waqala nini ukusebenza kwa ballistic okuthiwa u1995 wabeka neziqhu zakho khona lapha.
That's correct, ma'am.
Yebo kunjalo.
I won't go through each and every paragraph, but I'll ask there and there. My question is, when you started working in the ballistic in 1995, had you obtained this national diploma in policing with University of South Africa?
Musuqala ke kusebenza kwa ballistic station ngo1995. Wawusuyitholile yini le national diploma in policing yase University of South Africa?
Malo, my national diploma was in 2010.
2010.
Ya national diploma yami ngayithola ngo2010.
And then is it also correct that out of all the qualifications that we have included in paragraph 2, it is only the National Diploma in Policing with the University of South Africa that is accredited in terms of South African Qualifications Act. The rest are internal courses. In other words, are their departmental trainings.
Kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi i-National Diploma in Policing yase UNISA iyona kuphela eyamukelekayo kusakha lezi ezinye ke nje izifundo zangaphakathi.
That's correct, ma'am.
Athi yebo kunjani?
And also in particular, Colonel, if you go to paragraph 2.3.16.3, the transfer of marks by the firearm to cartridges, fired cartridges and fired bullets, that also is an internal training that you received.
Manje ke le lenyaka lesiku lesi siku 2.3.16.3 okuthiwa transfer of marks by firearm to cartridges kusho ukuthi ukudluliselwa ke kwemiga idluliswa ke izibhamu ezidlulisela kuma cartridge ama cartridge adutshuliwe ne zinhlamvu ezidutshuliwe kusho ukuthi enye ke yalama course lawa afundwa ngaphakathi.
That's correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjani.
And when did you do this internal training?
Manje ke lokho ke owakufundela ngaphakathi esipoyiseni wakufunda nini?
I started my internal training in 1995 and completed in 1998.
Ngaqala ngo-1995 ngagcina ke sengiqedile ngo-1998.
And then let's move on lastly on paragraph 2 of your report. At paragraph 2.4, it's the last one on qualifications and experience. It says, I was declared competent and proficient in forensic ballistic examination. Who declared you competent?
Manje ke lewa kuthiwa lana ke bangibona sengifunde ngokwanele nokukwazi ukusebenza ngendlela efanele ku forensic ballistics. Ubani ke lo owafika wathi usufinyelele kulelo zinga?
Or maybe which institution?
Nokuthi ke mhlambe ke yipi isiphi ke lesi sikole?
It was an internal training and I was declared by our training officer by then and our commander.
Sasifunda ngaphakathi futhi ke owaveza lokhu ukuthi no sengifinyelele ezingeni elamukelekayo ilo wayesifundisa.
Okay, and in which year was that declaration made?
Manje ke washo nini ukuthi usufikelele kulelo zinga?
I cannot recall when was it. I have it on the certificate, but I can't recall the year.
Ikukhona icertificate yini kodwa ke angisakhumbuli ukuthi kwakuyimuphi unyaka.
Thank you. Then let's move on because we have testified in respect of paragraph 3, 4 of your report and 5. And then I want us to go to paragraph 6 of this report. Paragraph 6 of your report, it says, I examined the fired bullets mentioned in 3.1 and 4.2. I won't mention them because they are already mentioned on the previous paragraph, these exhibits. And compared the individual and class characteristics markings transferred to them by firearm components during the firing process using a comparison Microsoft and found. Then it means these are your findings. Am I correct?
Manje uthi lana ngahlole izinhlamvu engikhulume ngazo u3.1 no 4.2 ngase ngiziqhathanisa ke lezi inhlamvu ukuthi ke kukhona imigedwebeke noma edluliselwe izibhamu lapho kuleyo kulezo inhlamvu lezo ngisebenzisa imicrophone kukhona ke ngakuthola manje lokhu ke umbuzo uthi lokho wathola kusho ukuthi kwatholwa wena.
That's correct, my lord.
Bathi yebo kunjani?
And these are the findings of the exhibits mentioned in 3.1 and 4.2 as the bullets recovered from the scene and the firearm recovered from Cleveland. Am I correct?
Kusho ukuthi ke lana ke lokho akuthola kule zinhlamvu lezi kukhulunywe ngazo ku3.1 no 4.2 kusho ukuthi inhlamvu ezatholakala endaweni yesigameko bese ke nesibhamu esatholakala eCleveland.
My lord, 4.2 would be the test that I have fired in the firearm that was collected at Cleveland.
Bashe ke u4.2 kusho ukuthi inhlamvu ke ekwakuhlolwa ngazo engazithola eCleveland.
And 3.1?
3.1 is the bullet that was recovered at the crime scene.
U3.1 inhlamvu eyathola endaweni yesigameko.
Okay, so 4.2 is the exhibit Is the bullet fired from the exhibit recovered from Cleveland, which is the firearm? Or
Which
tested
would take a-
from the firearm from Cleveland?
Usho ukuthi ke 4.2 inhlamvu eyadutshulwa kuhlolwa lesi sibhamu esatholakala eCleveland
Cleveland.
akunjalo?
That is correct, madam.
Yebo kunjalo.
Okay. And then here are your findings. And do you agree with me that these were your first findings in after you have examined these two exhibits which I've mentioned above?
Uvumelana nami yini ukuthi lo mphumela lona usho ukuthi lo wakuthola ngesikhathi uqala ukuhlola lezi khombiso?
It's the first finding. Am I correct?
Kusho ukuthi umphumela wokuqala.
No, on 6.1.
Yes. Yeah, I'm still going there to 6.1. I'm just saying what you found on 6.1 was the first results of the first examination on the exhibits.
Kuzayo ukuthi ke owakuthola ku 6.1 kokumphumela wokuqala emva kokuthi uhlole lezi ikhomba ikhombiso eziku 3.1 and 4.2.
Or maybe let me read it. Maybe you'll understand
No,
it.
I just want to clarify.
Oh, okay.
Well, in 6.1,
Yes.
the test mentioned in 4.2
Yes.
are the tests which were fired by warrant officer Ruloffs, not the tests that I have fired.
La ka ku 6.1 kusho ukuthi ke kukhulunywa ngama test lawa adutshulwa warrant officer Ruloffs ungemina.
Oh, okay. So these findings are not your findings.
Kusho ukuthi ke lokho kuthola umphumela lona akubona umphumela wokuhlola kwakho lezi ikhomba.
I don't want to get lost, Colonel. That's why I'm reading line by line to say, you say, I examined the first bullets as I've just referred them.
Angifuni ukuthi ke silahleke yikho nje ngifunda umuqa ngomuqa.
Your report says you examined.
Sorry, I haven't finished.
Oh, sorry.
Ngoba
fast.
uthe lana mina ngahlola.
Yes. So when I was reading that paragraph, I understood it as if this is the examination that was done by yourself.
Kusho ukuthi ke uma ngifunda le paragraph mina ngizwe sengathi uthi lana kubikwa ngokuthi uwena owahlola.
That's correct, madam. I compared the bullets with the test which were fired by warrant officer Ruloffs first.
Ngiqhathanise inhlamvu nalama test lawa adutshulwa warrant officer Ruloffs
Yeah.
eqaleni.
We know Ruloffs now. We are now with you on this date that you are now sitting with these two exhibits. Then I am saying in paragraph 6.1, when you say there is sufficient class characteristics but insufficient individual characteristic marking transferred to these bullets by firearm components during the firing process, which could be due to the difference in bullet material. As a result, I took a decision to obtain additional test of the same material as the exhibit bullet. You see where I'm reading?
Yabona ke lana ke kubhala ukuthi lana kukhona izinkomba ezikhombayo ezilingene kodwa ke azilingene ukuthi sikhombeke umehluko phakathi kwalezi inhlamvu
Okay. So,
ezadutshulwa ngesikhathi kudutshulwa ke ukuthi bazama ukuhlola ngoba kukhona umehluko kule insimbi lezi ezakha lezi inhlamvu and ngakho ke ngathatha ke isinqumo sokuthi ngiyothola ezinye inhlamvu engahlola ngazo ezakhiwe ngensimbi efanayo nale nhlamvu lena eyatholakala le nhlamvu eyisikhombisa.
so my understanding of these findings is that it means there was insufficient individual characteristics to give a positive match, if I understand.
Ngithola kahle kusho ukuthi zasingekho impawu ezilingene ukuthi ungakwazi ukuthi wehlukanise. Angazi noma ngizwisisa kahle yini.
Am I following, Colonel?
That is correct.
Oh,
ma'am.
that's correct.
bathi yebo hayi kuliqiniso lokho.
Yes. So that was your first report, which was negative.
Kusho ukuthi ke umbiko oqala one nomphumela ongemuhle.
My lord, it's not negative. I
Okay.
only said that the class characteristics were there, the individuals were there, but they're insufficient for me to say that it's a match. That's why I wanted to shoot additional tests with
Okay.
the correct type of ammunition.
Don't rush, we are going to the additional. We are here on paragraph 6.
Can I please ask again that you allow me to,
My apologies, my
Interpret.
lord. My apologies, my lord.
can you give me the answer again, sir?
So the first test that is referring to is when I compare the exhibits with the tests which were fired by Warrant Officer Rudolph. So I came to the conclusion that the class characteristics were there, but the individual characteristics were not
Not there,
sufficient enough.
yes.
So I decided, as I've mentioned also in the same paragraph, that I decided to shoot additional tests so that I can do further examination on it.
Cha abengizama ukuchaza ke lana ukuthi yebo ngathamba ngakhathanisa lezi inhlamvu ephuma endaweni oqala ile yombukiso nale engayithola kuWarrant Officer Rudolph. Ngathola ukuthi yebo kukhona impawu ezibonakalayo khona lapho kodwa besingenele kahle ukuthi zinganginika isiqiniseko sokuthi ngikwazi ukuthi ngikhiphe umphumela ukuthi lezi inhlamvu ziyafana njengoba bese ngichazileke kuyona le paragraph.
Thank you, Colonel, for that explanation, but we are still coming there. I just want to understand the findings in paragraph 6.1 so that I won't make wrong submissions before this court. That's why I want to understand properly to say, in terms of the findings in paragraph 6.1, there were insufficient individual characteristics which did not give a positive identification or a match.
Ukuthi lapha ku 6.1 mangizusisa kahle bezingekho impawu ezanele ezihlukanisayo ukuze ukwazi ukuthi ube nesiqiniseko sokuthi kuyabonakala yini ukuthi lezi inhlamvu lezi umehluko noma ukufanana kunjani.
That is correct, ma'am.
Athi yebo kunjani.
And the reason you have also included on the same paragraph, you said, but insufficient individual characteristics marks transferred to these bullets by firearm components during the firing process, which could be due to the difference in bullet material.
Kusichazile lapho ukuthi hlaza ke lezi impawu lezi ezilapha akufanani ngoba uhlobo lwensimbi ezasetshenziswa ukwakha lezi inhlamvu luhlukene.
That is correct, ma'am.
Athi yebo kunjani.
And then further, still on paragraph 6.1, you say, as a result, I took a decision to obtain additional tests of the same material as exhibit bullet.
Athi lapho ke ngase ngithatha isinqumo sokuthi ngiyozama ukuthola inhlamvu zokuhlola ngazo zokutesta ngazo ezenziwe ngensimbi efanayo nale inhlamvu leyathole endaweni yesigameko.
That is correct, ma'am.
Athi yebo kunjani.
So, Colonel, does it mean that if there is a difference in bullet material, it means that can have an impact on the examination or on the transferring of marks?
Kusho ukuthi koma kukhona umehluko kule material noma uhlobo lwensimbi ezisetshenzisiwe ekwakheni inhlamvu lezi ezikhathaniswayo kusho ukuthi kuzoba nokwehluka ukuthi impawu lezi zidluliseka kanjani zisuke esibhamini ziya lapha ezinhlamvini zesibhamu.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjani.
Okay. And why did you take a decision alone to obtain additional tests of the same material as
What?
the exhibit bullet? Because the report was conclusive here. You had examined the exhibits and we have got the findings.
njengoba wathola umphumela ke la ekuqaleni kwakho ukuthi ukwazi ukubona ukuthi umphumela unjani yini indaba ke wakhetha uwedwa ukuthi uyofuna ukuqhubeka uyofuna ukuthi uthole ezinye inhlamvu uthi zifana nalenhlamvu noma zakhiwe ngensimbi efanayo nalenhlamvu etholakala endaweni yesigameko?
My Lord, it's how we normally work. If you shoot the test or you find that the test that you are comparing with your bullets are of different material, we prefer to shoot the correct test where you can do a comparison on similar objects, not on different types of objects.
Cha indlela esisebenza ngayo ngoba uma ubona ukuthi impawu lezi azibonakale kahle into esiyenzayo ukuthi sivele sihambe isithathe unqumo sokuthi siyofuna inhlamvu ezakhiwe ngematerial efanayo nale yalenhlamvu esifisa ukuyihlola.
Why in the first place you did not use similar material?
Manje indaba eqaleni ungavelanga wathatha wahamba uyofuna inhlamvu efana nalenhlamvu lena ofuna ukuyihlola?
The tests that I'm using are the tests which were fired by Warrant Officer Rudolph. So he used PMP full metal jacket when he should test on the same firearm. So
Manje lokho engikwenza ke ngahlola ukuthi ngahlola inhlamvu ezazidutshulwe Warrant Officer Rudolph owayesebenzise yena iPMP full metal jacket.
Okay.
So for me to do a proper examination, I need the same type of bullet to do a comparison.
That was used by Relofs.
Ukuthi ke mina ngikwazi ukwenza umsebenzi omuhle ngangiphoqelele ukuthi ngiyokwenza ama test ngenhlamvu ezakhiwe ngensimbi efanayo nalenhlamvu le eumbukeli.
Which is the test that was used by Relofs.
No. He's trying to explain that Rudolph used the full metal jacket, but the bullet found on the scene, it's a CMJ. Right?
That's correct, ma'am.
Yes.
So the test of Rudolph is not similar to the test which the bullet which was found, allegedly found on the scene regarding the material.
Azama ke ukuchaza lana ukuthi Rudolph yena wayesenzise i-full metal jacket. Kuwukuthi ke le nhlamvu eyatholakala endaweni yesigameko kwayilolu hlobo lwe-CMJ okwase kwenza ukuthi kube inhlamvu ezakhiwe ngey'nsimbi ezahlukene. So wayephoqelele ukuthi ayofuna inhlamvu ezakhiwe ngensimbi efanayo ukuze aneliseke ukuthi impawu ezikhona lapha kulezi inhlamvu impawu ezisebenzisekayo.
Okay. Let's conclude this before confusing the record. Let's conclude this by saying, from the examination that you did, from the exhibit, from the Rudolph's evidence test, you did not get a positive match.
Ake siqede ngaloku ke siphethe ngokuthi kule nhlamvu lena ezazidutshulwe uWarrant Officer Rudolph esikhathi uqhathanisa wena kusho ukuthi awuzange uthole umphumela omuhle osebenzisekayo.
My Lord, as I have mentioned, because of the difference in bullet materials, I could see the individual characteristics, but they were not sufficient. So I came to the conclusion that with this bullet, it's inconclusive, but I need to shoot the correct test to compare the correct test.
Thank you
kinds
very
of
much,
tests,
Kenneth.
so that I can see.
It was inconclusive.
Cha ngoba ke lezi inhlamvu lezi ezasetshenzisiwe kwakuyinhlamvu ezakhiwe ngey'nsimbi ezehlukile. Ngathatha isinqumo sokuthi ngoba ngiyabona impela ukuthi kukhona okubonakalayo lapha kodwa akungiletheli isiqiniseko sokuthi ngithole umphumela omuhle. Ngakhetha ukuthi angihambe ngiyofuna inhlamvu ezakhiwe ngensimbi efana nayo ukuze ngithole umbiko engizoba nesiqiniseko ngawo.
Am I also correct, just correct me there, am I also correct to understand that if the findings in paragraph 6.1 were inconclusive, it means there was no positive match?
Ngizobe ngikhuluma iqiniso yini ukuthi uma kuwukuthi ke umphumela lapha ku 6.1 awuletheli ukweneliseka ngokuthi uthi uthole umphumela omuhle kusho ukuthi ke awuzange uthole umphumela osebenzisekayo.
I would say correct, there was no positive match, but it was an inconclusive findings.
Yebo ngingasho njalo ukuthi kwakungekho ke indlela ukuthi ngisho ukuthi le umphumela lona umphumela wawomekelekayo ngoba kokungekho ukuthi sithi no
Thank you.
lezinhlamvu ziyafanana.
Thank you, Colonel, for that clarification, because I want to make the correct submissions when you are not here in respect of this paragraph 6.1. Okay. And then let's move on. I'm going to skip paragraph 7 and paragraph 8. And then we go to paragraph 9. I just want to confirm, because there is no date here when you say you examined the fired bullets. Is it the 20th day of July, or it's the date wherein you made the findings in paragraph 6 of the same report?
I guess idlulela ke ku paragraph 9 la umuthi ke ngahlola inhlamvu ezidutshuliwe kwakungumhla ka-20 kuJuly noma kwakungileli langa owadubule khona lezi inhlamvu eziku-6.1 la uhlale khona lezi inhlamvu eziku-6.1.
I started comparing them after shooting the test on the 20th.
On the 20th.
And I checked them, but I couldn't finish, and I kept continuing checking them on daily until where I could reach a conclusion that this is positive. But before I could type my report, I gave them to other analysts for verification or for further comparison or verification of my results.
Ngaqala usihlola ngomhla ka-20 kuJuly kodwa ke akusho ukuthi ngaqeda ukwenza umsebenzi walelo langa ngaqhubeka ngilokhu ngihlola kodwa ke ngingakawubhali ke ngingawukhiphi umbiko wami mayelana naloku kuhlola ngaqala ngazinika ke laba abanye ama-analysts akhona ukuze balethe isiqiniseko.
Okay, Colonel, just take me step by step. On paragraph 6.1, we've finished examination, okay? We've finished examination, we've got findings on paragraph 6.1.
Asithike lapha ku-6.1 ubhekile wathola ke umphumela akunjalo.
Then on Monday, which is paragraph 7, on the 20th, you receive another exhibit.
Ngomhla 21 kwawushidiwe lapha ku-7.1 ngomhla ka-20th.
Paragraph 8, oh sorry.
Wathola ke ezinye ke izinhlamvu.
I'm summarizing because you have already entered this evidence into the record. That's why I'm saying on paragraph 6, the only thing that I want is the specific date. To say on the 20th of July, you receive the exhibits. On paragraph 8, you examined. And then on paragraph 9, what is happening and when? That's where I am now, on paragraph 9. Do you see that, Kenneth?
Yes, I see that.
Yeah.
I think ngiyabona yini lapha ku-paragraph ikona ngifuna ukuzwisisa kahle ngoba uthe ngo-6.1 ngathola lezi nhlamvu ku-paragraph 8 wathi wahlola ngifuna ukuzwisisa kahle lapha ku-paragraph 9 kwakwenzekani.
Well, if you look at the date I've received the firearm on the 20th
Of July.
Okay.
Ngathola ke sibhamu ngomhla ka-20 kuJuly.
I shot the test when I came back.
Ngase ngidubula ke ama-test ngalilanga.
And I started with a microscopic comparison of the exhibits.
Ngase ngiqala ke ukuthi ngihlole ke nge-microscope ke lama-exhibit engiwatholile.
I could not complete on the 20th. I continued on the 21st.
Angizange ngikwazi ukuqeda umsebenzi wami ngomhla ka-20 ngaqhubeka ngomhla ka-21st.
And I can't recall whether I finished on the 22nd, but then I gave in to my colleagues for verification.
Kodwa angisakhumbule ukuthi ngaqeda ngaleli langa noma ngaqeda ngilandelelayo kodwa ke engikwazi ukuthi ngadlulisela ke lama-exhibits kubantu engisebenza nabo
Okay.
ukuthi nabo bazobhekisisa.
So it means you received the firearm from Cleveland
On the 20th, yes.
on the 20th.
Yebo ngathola isibhamu esivele eCleveland ngomhla 20.
Okay. And that firearm on the 20th you received after you had made findings in paragraph 6.1.
Kusho ukuthi wathola lesi sibhamu emva kokuthi usuqedile ukuhlola lapha nokuthi uthola umphumela lo olapha ku 6.1.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
Oh, okay. So it means when you got the findings in 6.1, the firearm had not reached the lab at that time.
Kusho ukuthi ke muthola umphumela kolapha ku 6.1 isibhamu sasingakafiki elab.
Am I
My
right?
lord, when I reached the conclusions on 6.1, the
Yes.
firearm was still at Cleveland Police Station.
At Cleveland Police
Mangithola
Station.
umphumela ku 6.1 isibhamu sasisise Cleveland.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. Yeah, and then when you found negative results in paragraph 6, then you went to Cleveland to fetch the firearm on the 20th or on the date thereafter. Just
Wathi
to be safe.
kumuthola umphumela onganelisi lapha ku 6.1 wabe seke uyahamba uya eCleveland yolanda isibhamu.
That's correct, my lord. After finding the inconclusive findings, not negative findings, inconclusive
Cha
findings.
ngathola umphumela ongenelisa hayi ukuthi umphumela ophikisayo.
But, okay, let's leave it.
When you say it's negative, it means it was not fired in the firearm.
Manje ke phela umuthi lo mphumela awenelisi uchaza ukuthi phela le ntambo le ayidutshulwanga kuleso sibhamu.
Okay, no, thank you very much for that clarity that it was inconclusive results which did not give positive match.
That's correct, my lord.
I want to learn the ballistic way now.
Ongenelisi.
Okay. Then you went out of the lab to Cleveland Police Station to get the firearm now.
So asuka ke waya eCleveland Police Station wayolanda isibhamu manje.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
If we can just pause there, don't close that page, which is paragraph 9. We're still going to analyze your findings now. After the first one that did not give you a positive match. Colonel, is it correct that when you do a comparison on the comparison microscope, there is a set of rules that are established internationally that you work according to? Set of rules, internal rules, that you work according to when we are doing the microscope comparison.
Set of
Kusho
rules.
ukuthi ke uma wenza ke uqhathanisa lapha ngaphansi kwale microscope oyisenzisayo ukuqhathanisa kukhona ke imithetho oyilandelayo esetshenziswa emhlabeni wonke oyilandelayo ukuthi wenze indlela oqhathanisa ngayo ngale mithetho ebekiwe.
Maybe I can say it is the set of rules, or it's the standard procedure, or it's the method that you follow.
Angithi ke mhlambe ke imithetho ebekiwe mhlambe indlela ezibekiwe zokuthi kusetshenziswe ngazo ofanele uzilandele.
But I'll say the method that we use or the procedure that we use.
The
Mina
method.
ngathi yindlela nje
Method or the
esizilandelayo.
procedure that we use.
And one of those procedures is the CMS.
Manje enye ke yalezi indlela isenza ngazo iCMS.
Normally we've been using the pattern matching, but the CMS was also introduced. It was only introduced, but it was not yet applied. But we kept on also trying using it.
Engingakusho ukuthi sasenzisa ipattern matching kodwa iCMS yagcina nayo esiqalile ukusetshenziswa kodwa engakalethwa ngaleso sikhathi.
It was not?
Uthe
What about CMS?
It was only introduced,
Okay.
but normally we were using the pattern matching, and then the CMS was introduced.
iCMS yona yethulwa kodwa ngoba ngaleso sikhathi sasisebenzisa ipattern matching.
When was it introduced, CMS?
iCMS ke yethulwa nini?
We started with it after
2010,
2014, after the
2014.
Saqala ukusebenzisa
2014 when we
2014.
attended the
The course
workshop in
in Cape Town.
Cape Town. That's correct.
Saqala ukuyisebenzisa ngo-2014 emva kokuthi sihambe siyoqeqeshwa ku-workshop ese-Cape Town.
Which means what? Consecutive matching
Matching
striations.
striations. That's correct.
Okusho ukuthi consecutive matching striations. Lo uchaza ukuthi
Striation, Mr. Ngoma.
striation. Ngiyaqondisa lapha. Sorry. Usho ukuthi ke la kulandelelwa ke ukuthi yiziphi iyiphi imigqa efanayo ekhona elandelelekayo.
So in that training in 2014, that's when you were taught that you have to use this, we said it's a method or a policy, CMS method.
Uthe lena ke indlela senza ngayo. Uthi yena.
And then which method did you use or did you apply?
Yiphi indlela yokusebenza owayisebenzisa la?
Yes.
There are some instances where you apply both of them.
Khona indawo la usebenzisa khona zombili lezi ndlela zokusebenza.
So which was the pattern match
You get the pattern match and also
and the
you get the striation.
consecutive matching striation.
That's correct, ma'am.
Usho ukuthi lapha ngabe senzisa i-pattern matching saphinde sasebenzisa ke nokubheka le migqa ekuthiwa ama-striation.
And then in terms of this method of CMS, you have to find, you'll correct me if I put it the other way, but when you are doing the comparison with the exhibits, you need to find one group of 6 striations or 2 groups of striations.
Kusho ukuthi ke
So, sorry, not 2, 3, sorry, my lord. You have to find one group of 6 striations or 2 groups of 3 striations.
Kusho ukuthi ke uma uqhathanisa ke la ufanele uthi uthole iqembu lemigqa eyisithupha noma usithole amaqembu amabili emigqa emithathu.
In the same relative position.
Wonke ke ehleli eindaweni eziqhathanisekayo.
That is correct, ma'am.
Yebo
That's
kunjalo.
correct. Okay. So I want us to use this formula now when we're going there to calculate these striations. Group of 6 striations.
Senzise yona ke le formula uma siyobheka lapho ukuthi ikuphi le migqa.
But also before going there to the chart of your examination, can you tell me, with your understanding, the difference between the pattern method and the CMS, if there is any difference?
Uma ukhona umehluko phakathi we-CMS ne-pattern matching, ngicela ukuthi ungichazele ukuthi yini ke lo mehluko.
My lord, when you're speaking of CMS, you're speaking of striation lines that are created by the firearm during the firing process. It could be 6 matching striations or 2 sets of 3. But they must be in the same relative positions. And when you're talking of a pattern, you can have striations that makes a pattern, specific pattern. And when you look at that pattern, it will be the same pattern that is created by those striations. So that's when we're using both. You're looking at the pattern created by the striations.
Okay.
You're there.
Uma sikhuluma nge-CMS ke sikhuluma ngemigqa ke le eshiyekayo lapha esibhamini kodwa kufanele sezindaweni ezikwaziyo ukuthi ziqhathaniseke. Manje masikhuluma nge-pattern sikhuluma sisho ukuthi le migqa lena yakha i-pattern ethize ebonakalayo ukuthi iyaqhathaniseka ibonakala ukuthi seyindaweni ezifanayo yini.
So it's possible to apply them both simultaneously.
Manje uchaza ukuthi ke uyakwazi ukuzisebenzisa zombili lezi ndlela wathi yebo.
Okay. Are we also in agreement that when we're looking at the striations, now we are looking at the group of 6 striations, group of 6 striations, or 2 groups of 3 striations.
manje sopheka ke la kukhona khona iqembu le miga lena yokuhuzuka eyisithupha noma sibheke la kunemaqembu amabili anemiga emithathu ngalenye.
Yes, Malot,
We are in agreement.
Siyavumelana yini?
we can look at the striations, the 6 striations, or even if it's more than 6, but we are looking at the striations created by a fire. We can count those striations also.
Athi hayi sizobheka ke ukuhuzuka noma imiga eshiwe yisibhamu.
But in terms of this CMS method, we have to look at 6 striations, 1 group of 6 striations, or 2 group of striations.
Manje ngokuhambisana ke nalendlela yokusebenza iCMS ukuthi sifanele sifune imiga eyisithupha noma sifune imiga emithathu esemaqembini amabili.
Consecutively matching or continuously matching.
Kusho ukuthi ke elandelelana ngendlela abekeke ngayo.
That's correct, Malot.
Yebo unjani?
I'm asking these things because I want to understand the application when we're going to the striations, to say which method are we applying when you are counting the striations.
Ukuthi ngifuna ukuzwisisa kahle ukuthi kubalwa kanjani lapha yikho ngibuza.
Okay. Do you also agree with me, Colonel, that the consecutive matching striations is main, stria is 1.
Manje igama lethi stria lisho okukodwa, striations usho ukuthi imiga eminingi.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh,
Athi yebo kunjani?
okay. Is it correct that in consecutive matching stria, it means that striations which you are counting must follow each other? In other words, there cannot be a difference or a break in between the striations.
Usho ukuthi ke uma ngithi kubalwa ke lemiga lena ifanele ihambe ilandelelane ngendlela elandelene ngayo kulezi indawo zombili osibhekayo, kungabi nala uthola khona ukuthi kukhona umuga ongekho.
There must be.
When we refer to a break, what are we referring to?
Manje
Because that break can create what we call a pattern.
Manje umuthi ke kukhona ke la eqa khona uchaza ukuthini?
When we're talking about the pattern and consecutive matching, I don't know whether I should explain that in Zulu. Consecutive, it's 1 and the same striation. So it must be the same without a break, without another striation which is not continuously matching with the other one. That's the explanation I can give.
Ukuthi ke imiga lena ifanele ilandelelane ngendlela efananayo kuzo zombili lezindawo ozobe uzihlola.
We can continue on that one.
We can continue on that.
We can
Thank you.
continue on that.
Okay.
Singaqhubeka nalokho.
Okay. And then these consecutive striations, they have to line up.
Manje ke le miga ke nje elandelanayo ngaleyo ndlela ifanele ke ibonakala ukuthi hamba ngendlela
In other words, on both sides, we have the left-hand side, which is the exhibit bullet. We have the right-hand side, which is the test bullet. Am I correct?
That's correct.
okusho ukuthi ke ifanele ibe sendaweni eyodwa uma isibheke kule nhlamvu lena ethole endaweni esigameko ke na kule nhlamvu le ye test nakhona kufanele ukuthi le miga lena iqondene.
So these lines, they have to line up,
Kusho ukuthi ke le miga ifanele iqondane
and they must be of the correct width
kusho ukuthi ke nobubanzi bayo ifanele kufane.
Sorry, my lord, just one word. They must also of the same height.
Futhi ke
They-
nokude bayo lemigqa ifanele ifane.
In other words, what I'm saying to you, Kenneth, is that these consecutive matching striations, they must line up and must be in their same height and in their same width. I will show you when we are going there. In other words, they must be the same. That's what I'm trying to unpack.
Ongishoyo
less.
ukuthi lesimigqa leni ifanele iqondane ibe mide ngendlela efananayo ibe nobubanzi obufananayo. Uzokukhombisa uma siya la.
In other words, the other one should not be big in width and the other one be thin. They must be of the same.
Engikuchazayo ukuthi kungabi nokwehlukana, kungabi ugqinsi, kungabi nosaqili.
My lord, when you say they must be the same width, the same thickness, or we look at the type of ammunition that we're using. Here we're using the CMJ. CMJ is a soft bullet. So the reaction of the CMJ, because the soft bullet will not always be the same. You must put that also into consideration.
Sifanele sibheke futhi nalo ukuthi CMJ inhlamvu ekwengensimbi soft okusho ukuthi ke ayiqinile kangako. Sifanele sibheke nalo ukuthi okushiyakayo lapha kuleya nhlamvu le kuzoba njani.
So that is an exception to this case.
That's correct, ma'am.
Athi akayi yiloko ke okwenza ukuthi kube nomehluko kule kwesibhekayo.
And then also, Colonel, do you agree with me that when you are calculating the first, let me say the first or the one set of 6 striations or 2 groups of striations, if there is a break in between, you have to stop counting and count afresh above the break.
Uma ukuthi khona la kweqiwe khona kusho ukuthi kungabonaka khona la okungenamuqa khona sifanele kusime ebese siyoqala ukubala kabusha.
My lord, it will depend on what are we looking at. If we are looking at one groove, we count all the striations in that one groove. So if there's 6 striations in one groove, irrespective of the gap that is there, but they are all in one groove. They're created by one groove. So we count them all because they're in one groove.
Kuzo ngike kutheni sibala emseleni owodwa yini uma ukuthi lemigqa lena esibhekayo yonke semseleni owodwa kusho ukuthi sisobala yona ukuthi iyisithupha khona kuleyo msele.
Okay. But that's not the method in terms of the CMS.
That is the method on CMS.
But akuyona ke indlela okusetshenzwayo ku CMS cha yona method yona indlela okusetshenzwa ngayo ku CMS.
And then now let's go to, can I ask Advocate Sebanda to assist me with your chart? Now we are going to count and see how many consecutive matching striations. Consecutive matching striations. That's CMS Kennel. Let's go in the application of that method.
Manje ke sizobheka lena sizobheka ukuthi ke kunemigqa emingaki elandelanayo yokumadanisa.
I've put a Waterpass there that I will ask you to use for the court, and then you lend me your pointer so that I can point you out.
Well, look, I'm still saying the water pass will not work in this.
Will not work.
It won't work.
Cha le water pass lo okhuluma ngayo angeke ukwazi ukusebenza la.
Sorry, do you ever use a water pass?
Nike nisebenzise yini water pass?
No,
Your
madam,
test.
you don't use water.
Have you ever used it?
I have never
Nayo
used it.
nayisebenzisa.
Your colleagues at the laboratory, have they ever used it?
You don't use it.
Bakhona
use
yini
it.
abanye
You don't use
abayisebenzisayo
Okay,
bathi cha.
fine. Water
But
pass. So it's for building, if I recall. Water pass for the lines
Colonel,
of a brick.
with due respect, I respect you. I'm not undermining you when I'm asking you to assist me in using that tool. I know it's not from the lab, but it's the way that I want you to understand me, to see the lines there in the court chart. You understand, Kenneth?
Cha bengifuna ukuthi ungisize ukuthi ngikuzwisise ukuthi le migqa lena ime kanjani kuleya chart. Sisebenzisa ke yona lena.
I'll take you through each and every lines, but I want you to show us there.
Well, I'm still saying the water pass will not work. I'll
Okay.
show you an example. If I'm holding this water pass, I draw a line here. The person who's seated there doesn't see the line that I'm drawing because it's below the water pass. It's in line with the length of my eyes. I can see that line. But somebody who's sitting here will not see that line. So it will be like I'm showing the line that is not there.
Okay.
Uma ungidweba umugqa ngisebenzisa le water pass ohleli lapha angeke alibone lo mugqa mase ucabanga ukuthi ngikhombisa into engekho.
My problem is that in the pointer, you were saying it's there. But I want you to take me through the line to see if it's lining up from the left-hand side to the right-hand side.
Cha ukuthi
Maybe you
ngifuna
can-
ukuthi mangikhombisa lapha bese angikhombisa ke nawe ukuthi hayi iqondele ke leli migqa ukusuka ngapha ngakwesokunqele iziyofika ngakwesokude.
Maybe you can use your hand or maybe a pen to show me that here is the line. Here, this is how it goes up to the end.
Manje wena ungangikhombisa
That's the only thing I want to
nanoma ipeni uthi na umugqa uhamba kanje uziyofika ekugcineni.
You know it better. If you can just take me through. We are going to start with that one is Exhibit X13E1. Can you borrow me a pointer, please?
May I take it across, my lord?
What's it?
Sir, pointer.
Yeah, no.
Thank you, Kenneth. You see, in the, my lord, I'm using Exhibit X13E1, the original one. I'm not sure how we separate them. You see this one, the first chart, the first court chart, not the one that was introduced during cross-examination.
Okay.
Yes. So, you see, this striation. See, I'm not sure whether your eyes, you see this striation. It's going on both sides.
Yabona yini lo mugqa lo ukuthi uhamba ngazonke.
That's correct, yes.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
kunjani?
But underneath that, there are two striations that do not match.
Manje ngezansi
Just-
kwaloko kukhona imigqa engamadaniseki.
One second,
Maybe for the sake of the record, if the striations have been numbered, in the record don't be able to distinguish between this striation and that striation. If maybe the numbering of the striations can be used.
It means let's go. It's so unfortunate that when you were leading this evidence in chief, you did not have these marks and these errors, and you went through and you were flying with this chart. Now that I'm taking you through this chart, you are unable, but I will respond.
That's incorrect. Why do you say this witness is unable? Where do you get that from?
Let's proceed with the second exhibit. Because I was taking you through the first one, which did not have marks.
Which did not have marks on
Yeah,
side
on
of
the,
test.
sorry?
Which
Marks-
did not have marks on the
Marks
side
like
of
this
the
one. You see, this one is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, up to number 6. I'm saying the first one did not have these marks, of which the state is asking me to direct the record through it.
Hello, the first one and this one is the same photo.
Yes, it's the same photo. That's why I was also taking you through this one. But the state is now saying that I must use this one so that the record will understand the number of striations or the position of the striations. Do you understand that, Colonel?
No, I understand, but when you say they are not there on the side, I've explained yesterday that if you look at your bullet, if your bullet has bent a little bit in the middle, there won't be striations there because they will not be transferred to your exhibit. Your exhibit will not be touching the surface of the barrel.
No.
But if you look towards the end there, at point number 3 there, is the same striation that we are talking about, the
Yeah.
side.
I'm saying the same
Mina ke
striation.
ngizama ukuchaza nakho ukuthi ke uma kuwukuthi ke inhlamvu kukhona la igobe khona angeke kukhona indawo la engeke ibe nezimpawu khona lezi ezibonakalayo yikho ngithi ke lo uphawu olulapha ku3 lugcina libonakale kulo 3 omunye.
Colonel, I'm still coming there. I'm still on the error number 2. That's error number 2, which I was trying to show you. 2 is this one. Eh? I was trying to show you in the first exhibit. It's this one. That's the striation number 2. Do you agree with me?
Hayi bengisazama ukukhombisa kona ilokho okukhonjwa umcebulisholo wesibili. What yeah.
Then, I am saying to you, or my question is, between the striation number 2 and the striation number 3, you see, there is a break because there are 3 striations that do not line up, that do not match on the other side, which they only appear on the left-hand side, but they do not go to the right-hand side.
Engichazayo ukuthi ke uma sibheka unumber 2 kukhona imigqa emithathu ebonakalayo ngakwesokunxele kodwa ayifinyeleli ekubonakaleni kahle ngakwesokudla.
One of the same striations that we are referring to.
Number
I
2,
explained yesterday.
Number 2?
These striations here.
yes.
These ones. As I said, if your bullet is not straight, there won't be striations here because it does not touch the barrel of the camera.
Okay, so
But when you continue to, here they are.
Njengoba sengichazileke isolo ukuthi uma ningayiqondile inhlamvu yakho izobonakala kahle ngapha ngakwesokunxele kodwa ke nje uma silandelela siyabona
Can you follow the pointer? Is that the one that you are talking about?
That's correct, yes.
Yes, if you go, it doesn't match with this one.
They match here. They are not exactly here. If
They are
you
not that clear. Okay, let's agree
That's
to
a-
say they are
that's
not
a-
that
that's a
clear.
striation mask. Yes, it comes. It will end up right here. Let me try and put the
It's-
water pass as you wish to have.
Oh.
You see now, if I'm holding it this way, I can see, but you can't see.
uma ngiyibamba kanjena le water pump mina ngiyakwazi ukubona ukuthi wena ukwazi ukubona.
Sorry, just for my understanding. Is it not because the bullet is cylindrical?
That's correct.
It must be.
The surface of the bullet is not straight. it's
Cylindrical.
That's
why you
ukuthi
can't- yeah,
ke
I understand it.
inhlamvu lena iyindingilizi.
Okay. And then also let's look between error number 1 and error number 3.
Asibheke ke futhi phakathi kwale mcibilisho lo oqala nowesithathu.
Number 1 and number 2.
Sorry.
Number 1, number 3.
Just a minute, my lord. Just a minute. So, Colonel, are we in agreement that between error number 2, the striation, and error number 2 and 3, the striation that we have pointed out to say it appears towards the end, we are saying it's not clear, visible, clear enough because it's not straight. It's because of the cylinder bullet. It's because the bullet is not straight.
Uchaza ukuthi le video sibonako lapha number 2 ayibonakali kahle ngoba
The bullet is cylindrical.
ngoba ke inhlamvu iyindingilizi.
My lord, I'll try and explain it with. If my hand is a bullet and it's straight, my hand is in contact with the water pass follow. But if my hand is in this position, it's not in contact with the bullet completely. So if you look at the center part, it does not come into contact with the bullet.
Okay, so
But the front part is in contact with the bullet and the back part is in contact with the bullet. So if there are any striations on this, will be created towards the back and will be created towards the front. So the center part will not have the striations.
yeah, that's why I want to verify to say, do I understand you correctly to say it's not clearly visible because of the make of the bullet?
Manje ke ukuchaza ukuthi ke akubonakali kahle ngendlela yakho ngayo ke lenhlamvu.
Not necessarily the make of the bullet, how the bullet reacted when a shot is fired. It
No.
could be that the center part of it, remember there's pressure. What happens when a shot is fired?
Okay.
The propellant powder that is burning turns into gas. That gas pushes the bullet into the barrel. Now your bullet is a little bit bigger in diameter than the barrel of your firearm.
Okay.
So there's pressure from behind pushing the bullet into the barrel. And because it does not fit there, it's a little bit bigger. The pressure that's coming from behind will push it. At one stage, it will sort of contrast a little bit, creating a curve line where some part of the bullet will not be in contact with the barrel of your firearm. So there won't
So
be marks.
we
in
won't
the
have
car.
clear marks. Okay.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Asikhona indawo lapho
I just want clear
uma
marks and not clear
idutshulwa
marks.
inhlamvu ngithi isunduswa into ekuthiwa propellant ngapha uma sidlula ke la esibhamini kukhona indawo ezingeke sithintane nesibhamu.
So, Colonel, I put it to you that there, on the striation, which you have just indicated, that is not a visible striation, and therefore it means it's a break. It means it's a break, and therefore it does not give the consecutive marks, which you can count from 1 to 6.
manje kumasibheka lapha kuyabonakala ukuthi-
Striations, to 6 matching striations. Consecutive.
masibheka lapha siyabona ukuthi khona la iy'mpawu lezi esizibhekile ezingasadluleli ngale ngakwesokudla okudingeka kusho ukuthi-ke lokho-ke kusivezela ukuthi azivelanga iy'mpawu ezilandelanayo eziyisithupha.
My lord, if they are not visible, does not necessarily mean they are not there.
Okay. Thank you.
Uma zingabonakali kusho ukuthi akusho ukuthi azikho.
Okay, thank you. My lord, can I ask that we take a short break and then we proceed after tea break?
What's the time?
11:16, my lord.
Okay. Second.
we were doing. Colonel, is it correct that also you had indicated before this court that the other marks are not clearly visible because of the fact that the barrel was worn out? Can you correct me?
wena ezinye impawu azibonakali ngoba umbhobho usugugile.
That's correct, ma'am.
That's correct. Okay.
Yebo kunjalo.
Okay. And as a result of that, the marks were not transferred constantly into the test.
Ngakho ke lezi impawu lezi asidluliselakanga ngendlela engaguquguquki zidluliselwa ke enhlamvini zidluliselwa yilombhobho.
That is correct, ma'am. The barrel is worn out and there's slippage also. That also affects the markings.
Yebo umbhobho lona ugugile futhi kunokushibilika khona lapho.
Okay. Let's just finish up, Colonel. We are in agreement with striation number 1. You see striation number 1?
Siyavumelana
This one.
ke ngomugqa okhonjwe ngomugqa wokuqala.
I agree with you that it lines up, it's visible on both sides.
Ngivumelana nawe ukuthi iqondene lo mugqa nalomunye ongakulolu lunye uhlangothi.
And it's of the same width.
Nokuthi ke nobubanzi balo mugqa lona buyafana.
Okay. And then number 2.
Mugqa wesibili
Number 2, it's this one.
ilona ke mugqa wesibili.
We also agree in that one, that it's visible on both sides.
Ya siyavumelana ukuthi ubonakala nhlangothi zombili.
And then let's go to number 3.
Asiyeke kwesithathu.
Okay, I think we have started, we're working on number 3 before we adjourn.
Bese sikhuluma lo wesithathu ke singakahlukani.
That's correct, ma'am.
We are done with that one.
Yebo kunjalo.
Okay. And then if we go to number 4.
Asiyeke kowesine.
Number 4, it's not clear.
Number 4 asibonakali akacacile.
You see, Kenneth? This is our number 4.
Yilo.
Do you agree with me, Kenneth?
Number 4.
Number 4, yes.
Yes, it's there.
It's not clear.
It's not.
It's not clear.
Umugqa wesine awucacile.
In other words, I'm saying it's not visibly clear enough as number 1 and 2, as I have agreed with you. That we are in agreement, this one is clearly visible.
Awucacile kahle njenga lo mugqa wokuqala nowesibili.
Then when you go to number 4, there's no striation.
Umugqa muyakulo mugqa wesine akukho akubonakali ukuthi khona umugqa kulolu phawu lesine akubonakali ukuthi kunemigqa khona.
Number 4, I will refer to.
I'm guided by the errors. Yes, I'm guided by these errors, yes. By these errors. It's not there, Kenneth.
It is there.
Yebo khona.
Okay. Let's move on to number 5.
Asiye kwesihlanu.
That's the 5th striation. Eh?
kusho ukuthi ke uphawu lolu lwesihlanu.
The fifth striation on the right hand side, it's lower, it's a bit lower. Yeah. If you look maybe into your chart there, if you look closely to number 5, it's not equally matching.
Ulamba lesihlanu lolu aluqondene kahle.
Number 5 is there, it's also visible on both sides.
Number 5 ukhona uyabonakala nhlangothi zombili.
But the one on the right hand side, it's likely higher than the left hand side.
Lo ngakwesobudla
Or maybe the thing is
ngathungehlangane kulalo ngasekwesobunqane.
That one is number 4.
Owesine lo.
No, number 5 is here. That's number 5, according to the marks. Number 4 is the one that I said it's not clear. Number 4 is the one that I said it's not clear.
This one,
Yes, we're on number 5. Yes,
number 4 is this one.
yes. That is not clear.
And it's there.
But it's not clear.
Yes, it's not clear. It might be because of the material of the bullet.
Okay.
Yebo, yabonakala ukuthi awucacile mhlawumbe ngabe wenziwa uhlobo lwalensimbi esetshenziswa ukwakha inhlamba.
Okay, thank you. And then let's move to number 6, which is the 6th striation.
Asiyeke kwesithupha.
I also disagree with you there, Kenan.
Angiyaphikisa.
It's not clear there. It's not clear. You see on the right hand side, which line are we counting as a striation there? On number 6.
Lapha ku number 6 yimuphi umugqa ikuphi ke lolu phawu olubhalwa njengomugqa.
Well, number 6 there, because your bullet is spherical in shape. When you're looking at the top part, this part becomes out of focus when you look. So number 6 there is out of focus, but it is there.
It's out of focus.
Oh, number 6 uphumile ku-focus.
Okay, so we agree that is out of focus. That is why it's not clear.
Siyavumelana ukuthi
There, it's out of focus, that's why it's not clear on the photo.
No, it's not there, Ken. It's not there.
uphumile
Oh,
ku-focus.
it's there. If you look at it from here, it goes out of focus. Continues that side.
No, that's
I don't
not.
know if I'm used to.
That's not striation.
It starts.
You can use your water pass.
Let me try it again. It starts there. Actually, you see,
Yeah.
it starts here. Where does that partial start?
Colonel, do you agree with me that it's not visibly clear enough, like 3 and 2? 3 and 2, we did not go back and forth. In 3 and 2, they are clearly lined up. You can see them.
It's because they are in focus. That one is not in focus.
Manje uvumelana nami yini ukuthi ayibonakali kahle ucacile kahle njengo number 2 no number 3 wathi hayi ukuthi vele iphumile ku-focus.
That's
Sorry, just elucidate for me. These striations, you actually saw them by using the microscope.
Microscope, that's correct one.
That's the point. You're using a microscope which you are twisting and turning. But here we're using the naked eye, we're using the water pass. But in the laboratory, you are using a microscope, a double microscope.
That's correct.
Yeah, please.
You know the reason why, Colonel, I'm taking you through this exercise. This is an exhibit before this court.
Yeah, fine.
This is the evidence that is before this court, which depicts the striations that you were able to see when you were examining in the microscope. Otherwise, you wouldn't have printed this if it's good for nothing. It's not good for nothing. It's the evidence before this court, which must be accepted as reliable evidence. And I'm saying it's not reliable.
It's very much reliable.
What's that, sir? I didn't hear you.
I said it's very much reliable.
Okay.
And you agree with me that we couldn't take the microscope as it is and put it before this court so that we can all see what you saw when you're doing the examination. You are all relying on this document that you have provided for this court.
Uvumelana nami ukuthi asikwazi ukuletha i-microscope sonke sizoyibona esingeyibona ile exhibit oyilethe la enkantolo.
That's correct. You cannot bring the microscope.
Yebo, ngiyavumelana nawe.
And this
Asikwazi
exhibit-
ukuletha i-microscope
And this
la
exhibit is
enkantolo.
called a court chart.
Come again?
This exhibit is a court chart because it was attached to the report that we can use it when we are analyzing the report that was attached to it.
Lena i-chart
It's a good piece. I don't know if that proposition is correct because the defense had an expert. He had the opportunity to look at the exhibits under the microscope. So the proposition that it's only this witness who looked at the exhibit under the microscope is not correct.
No, I'm not talking about the hearsay of who saw what on the microscope. I'm talking about the document that is before court, which has been presented as the evidence. Let's move on for the sake of progress, Colonel. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Sibanda. You can take down. Thank you. You can bring back my water pass.
Look, this has got nothing to do with this case. Just as a matter of logic,
Thank you.
there is an expression that a thing or some aspect is not visible to the naked eye. Have you ever heard of that? It's not visible to the naked eye. Have you ever heard it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
It
think
has nothing to do with this case.
Colonel, I just want to take you now through the integrity of receiving and handling the exhibits at the Ballistic. Okay? There is a procedure of receiving the exhibits at the Ballistic. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Kukhona-ke indlela yokwamukela ama-exhibit lapha kwa-ballistic wathi yebo.
And in this case, that procedure of submitting and receiving the exhibits was not followed.
Kulokhu-ke indlela esetshenziswayo yokuletha nokwamukela ama-exhibit ayisetshenziswana.
Maybe let me clarify. When I'm referring to the exhibits, I'm referring to the exhibit in issue, in this case, in respect of paragraph 9 of your report. We can go back to your
Ngikhuluma-ke
report
ngale
now,
ma-exhibit avela lapha ku-paragraph 9 yombiko wakho.
so that we don't confuse the exhibits. The exhibits referred to in paragraph 7 and examined in paragraph 8 was not accepted, was not received by the South African Ballistic Laboratory in terms of the procedure that is set out in the laboratory.
Lama-exhibit avela ku-paragraph 7 non-paragraph 8 awamukelekanga elaboratory yala eMzansi ngendlela ekufanele kusetshenziswe ngayo.
My Lord, it was received properly. If I signed for it at the SAP 13, that's the procedure that must be followed. And I
Right.
brought it to the lab for analysis.
Yamukelwa ngendlela efanele ngoba ngayisayinela ku-SAP 13.
The procedure, Colonel, for the handling of the exhibits. From the station, the exhibit will be booked out by the respective individual who is sending the exhibit to the ballistic unit. Am I correct?
Uma ke ukuthi khona lesuswayo ifanele isayinelwe ibhukwe out ukusho ukuthi isayinele ukuthi iphumile la ithathwa khona kunjalo
And sent to the ballistic.
ebese thunyelwa kwa ballistic.
My lord, the exhibit will be booked out at the SAP 13 by a police officer who will sign the SAP 13 and
Yes.
submit a copy of his appointment certificate
Yes.
and bring the exhibit to the lab.
To the lab, yes. That's where we are. And that did not happen in this case.
My lord,
It
but
happened.
the advocate is talking over me most of the time and I have to complain.
My apologies, Mama.
So, Mr. Chairman, are you saying this firearm was never in the lab? The one which was retrieved at Cleveland? It was never in the laboratory?
No, my lord,
What are you saying?
what I'm saying to the witness is that the procedure of handling the exhibits,
Yes,
in this case,
yes.
it was not followed in respect of paragraph 9, exhibits in
In what way
paragraph
was
9,
it not followed?
because it was not sent to the ballistic, but it was booked out by the expert who was going to do the same examination, my lord.
Where?
In the lab.
Ballistic?
In the ballistic, yes. Yes.
I thought it was sent somewhere else.
My lord, the procedure was followed, as I said, the procedure of booking out the firearm, SAP 13, must be a police officer, signed in the SAP 13, and hand a copy of his appointment certificate.
Okay, let me,
Manje ngithi ke mina le yabhukwa out ngendlela efanele ngoba lona ke iphoyisa lisenza lapho kwa SAP 13 fanele vele likhiphe appointment certificate yalo ukuthi ikhombise ukuthi ikhishwe yilo.
and after that has been done, that exhibit will then be allocated to an, is it an expert or analyst? To an analyst, ballistic analyst. Am I correct?
Emva
The
kwalokho
exhibit?
ke kusho ukuthi ke lento ke le exhibit ekhishiwe izonikwa i-analyst ohlola i-ballistic
Who is sitting there at the ballistic,
ohleli lapha kwa-ballistic
or who is working at the ballistic.
noma osebenza kwa-ballistic.
The case was already
No?
allocated to me. I was working on the case. So I have the right to go and fetch the firearm. If I'm not happy with the test that I have the right to go and book it out in the SAP 13, come and shoot additional tests if I want to shoot additional tests.
Hayi njengoba ke sinikwe mina ke le case kwakuyimina ofanele ukuthi ahambe uma ngingenelisekanga hambe ngiyothatha isibhamu ngibuye ngizosidubula.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have your powers of bending all the rules. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just taking you step by step to say the exhibit, once it has been received by the laboratory, it will be then allocated to a specialist.
Ngithi ke mina uma isibhamu sesilethile lapha kwa-ballistic kufanele sinikezelwe omunye oyi-specialist lapha.
It cannot be allocated to somebody else if I'm handling the case. It must be examined by myself again.
Angeke sinikwe omunye uma kuwukuthi mina ngisebenza ngalelo cala kufanele ilethwe kimina.
If I'm busy with the case and I see that I need more additional tests to be fired, I have the right to go sign, book it out at the SAP and come and proceed with my analysis. If the firearm was with the owner or was with a private maybe company or something, I would ask the IO to go fetch it so that we can shoot additional tests.
There is no procedure allowing you to do that.
Allowing me to do what?
What you did, what you are telling the court now, to say because it was allocated to you, so you had a right to go and book out the exhibit.
I have the right to do it.
Icala lanikwe wena wawunemvume yokuthi ungahamba uyosikhipha lesibhamu.
And that is the procedure.
Athi iyona ndlela kusetshenzwa ngayo le.
And the procedure is that all the exhibits that are submitted at the lab, they must go through the administration system. Am I correct?
Konke ke ama-exhibit alethwa lapha elaboratory afanele adlule ku-administration system anginjalo.
Am I correct?
No, my lord, you are not correct.
Okay.
Uh,
What's the procedure? What's the procedure of the administration system at the lab when they are receiving the exhibits?
manje ke kwamukeleni ke ama-exhibit umsebenzi we-administration system uyini?
If the case is to be registered at the lab, a new case where new exhibits are to be registered, they will follow that procedure. But in some instances, they don't. Like if you're receiving firearms for IB's testing, they are not registered at the case reception. They
Oh.
come straight into the lab, to IBs, and shoot the test, and then they go back.
manje uma ukuthi okokuqala libhaliswa icala elaboratory yebo kuyalandelwa ke le ndlela le yokuthi kubhalwe lapha ku-admin system. Uma ukuthi bese siqhubeka nje ngecala akuphoqelele ukuthi iphinde ibhaliswe.
And do you agree with me, Colonel, that in this case, this exhibit was not registered through the administration system?
Uvumelana nami ukuthi ke kuleli cala leli i-exhibit ayizange irejiste ku-admin system.
I didn't have to register it because I went to fetch it and I was busy working on it.
Hayi bengaphoqeleki ukuthi ngiyirejiste ngoba imina ngihambe ngayoyilanda and futhi bengiqhubeka nokuyisebenzisa.
And if this exhibit had been processed through the administration system, would have the proof of the dates on which this exhibit was received at the ballistic laboratory.
Uma ukuthi ke yabhaliswa kule system yase-admin sasiyoba nelanga le exhibit itholakala ngayo lapha elaboratory.
Well, the proof is there that I have signed for it at the SAP 13 at the station, and in my report, I've mentioned the date that I have worked on, of which is the same day.
Hayi unaso isiqiniseko ngoba ngasayina lapha ngiyisanela ku-SAP 13.
But there's no proof in the administration system at the ballistic confirming what you are telling this court.
Ayikho isiqiniseko asikho isiqiniseko esilapha ku-administration system ukuthi wasebenza ngale.
As I have also already started with the testing of the, comparing the test of this same firearm with my exhibits. So for me to have the firearm re-examined for additional test, there's no procedure that I must wait for somebody to go fetch it. I can go sign for it, come with it, shoot the test with it for further investigations.
Njengoba sensingalile-ke ukusihlola lesi sibhamu kwangasadingeki ukuthi kube nomunye ozoyongisendela uma ngisidinga ngangivumelekile ukuthi ngivele ngihambe ngiyosilandela isibhamu ukuze ngizokwenza ama-test ami.
Okay. For how long did you keep this exhibit before doing the examination?
Wasigcina isikhathi esinganani-ke
By this-
exhibit ungakaqali-ke ukusihlola.
By this exhibit, I'm referring to the firearm.
How long did I keep it before I?
Before you conducted the examination referred to in paragraph 9.
I went to fetch it at the station. When I came back with it, I shot the test immediately.
Mina ngayothatha e-police station uma ngibuya ngivele nje ngaso leso sikhathi ngase ngidubula lama-test engibuye ngiwadinga.
And after that, what did you do with the firearm?
Emva kwaloko wasenzani ngalesi sibhamu.
After shooting the test, it was in my safe.
Emva kwaloko uma sengidubulile ama-test ngisifake esefeni sami.
It was in your safe.
It was
So
in
the
my-
ballistic was never aware that there is such an exhibit that has been received in the ballistic. It was booked by yourself from the station, not entered in the administration system, kept by yourself in your private safe.
Kodwa-ke kusho ukuthi-ke ilaboratory yona ibingazi ukuthi khona isibhamu esinjani ne-exhibit enjalo ngoba kusho ukuthi vele wasithatha wena wafika wadubula wenza ama-test akho wasesithatha usifaka kwisafe yakho esefeni sakho.
Not in my private safe, in the labs, in my exhibit safe.
Ngikuthi angisifakanga esefeni sami sasekhaya ngokuthi ngisho ukuthi lesibhamu sasikula ebeka khona ama-exhibit.
What's the difference? Because it was not booked in the administration
Yini
system.
umahluko ngoba ayizange ibhukwe?
It was not that no one at the lab could have access to that firearm, to that exhibit. It was in your possession
Ngoba
at
ilab
all
ingakwazi
material
ukufinyelela-
times.
ilab ingakwazi ukufinyelela lesi sibhamu sasiphethwe wena.
My lord, if I sign for the exhibits to work on those exhibits, no one have access to those exhibits. They will be in my exhibit safe.
Mase ngisayinelile ke exhibit ayekho omunye umuntu onemvume ukuthi angasi.
Over to the safe. Because I have received from the same safe.
Mase ngiqedile ukwenza umsebenzi ongenza ngifisele sefeni ngoba ngithathe khona isefeni.
Colonel, I put it to you that the integrity of these exhibits, the manner in which it was recovered, handled, received by the ballistic, leaves much to be desired.
Ngifuna ukubeka kubona ukuthi ukukhusela kwendlela ebephathwa ngayo le exhibit ngifika lapha eBallistic khona ukusolisana.
And then
I do not agree on that.
Cha ngivumelani nalokho.
you'll never, because you were bending the rules.
Ngoba phela ubungayilandeleli imithetho ngeke uvumelane nalokho.
No rules were broken then.
Cha ayikho imithetho ephuliwe.
Okay. No problem. I'll leave that one for argument, Colonel. Colonel, let me understand. Are you an analyst or an expert?
Manje umhlaziyi wena noma uchwepheshe.
So that I don't ask you unnecessary questions.
Ukuze ngingabuzi imibuzo engafanele ngiyibuze.
My lord, I'm an analyst.
Analyst.
It depends on the court to say I'm an expert or but I'm an analyst, forensic ballistics analyst.
Okay.
Mina ngumhlaziyi ngaba inkantolo ngecanga ukuthi nguchwepheshe kodwa mina ngizazi ngumhlaziyi weballistic.
Thank you for being honest with your credentials. Even if you are an analyst, but I know that you have a knowledge of the crime scene, how the crime scene should be conducted, how the crime scene should be secured, you know that process at the crime scene.
Noma umhlaziyi ngiyazi ukuthi unalo ulwazi lokuthi ke indawo ke isigameko ikhuselwa kanjani nokuthi fanele iphathwe kanjani.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani.
Okay. Colonel, we are sitting with the exhibit here that was recovered from the crime scene, which was not cordoned off properly by the police to such an extent that there are members of the public and members of the SAPS who had access to the crime scene in this case.
Lana ke si le exhibit eyathathwa endaweni yesigameko eyayingavikelwe eyayingavalelwe nokuthi ke abantu ke bomphakathi namaphoyisa ayakwazi ukufinyelela le ndawo angene ngaphakathi indawo yesigameko.
So what I want to ask from you, Colonel,
I'm sorry to be rude to counsel, but if one looks at the photo album of Musia, the scene was cordoned off. I think it's Exhibit C. The proposition that the scene was not properly cordoned off is therefore not correct. If we look at Exhibit C, photo 1, 2, there is a cordon, clearly a cordon there, my lord.
Colonel, my question to you is, can you tell us what is the importance of cordoning off the crime scene, and also what is the importance of guarding the crime scene by the police, by the members of the SAPS?
Awuchazele ukuthi yini inhloso yokuthi ufakwe imingcele kule ndawo yesigameko futhi yini ke inhloso yokuthi isifakwe lemingcele bese kuba nonogada abaphuma esiphoyiseni abagada le ndawo.
The reason for cordoning the crime scene is to guard the crime scene or to prevent movement into your crime scene. And guarding the scene is to ensure that the people don't just enter the crime scene without any reasons.
Thank you.
Lapho kufaka umngcele ngoba sizama ukuthi ke ivikeleke le ndawo yesigameko nokuthi ke kwenziwe ukuthi abantu bangangeni ngendlela abathanda ngayo kule ndawo yesigameko.
Yes, in order to prevent what?
ukuze ke lapho ke kuzama ukuthi kugwenywe ukuthi
to preserve your crime scene,
ukuthi kugcinwe indawo yesigameko ikhuselekile ingaguquki
and to preserve the exhibits. Am I correct?
nokuthi ke kuphinde kugcinwe nama-exhibit akunjani
that's correct.
yebo kunjani
And to ensure that there is no tampering, there is no movement, there is no tampering of the crime scene. I think you understand the word that I'm using.
futhi ke nokuthi ke kufanele kungabi nalutho mhlambe olungaba luguqulwa lapha ngendlela yokukhwabanisa lapha ku-crime scene.
That is correct. It's just to reduce the movement on your crime scene, not completely to stop movement in the crime scene.
Lapho ke ukuzama ukuphungula ukuhamba hayi ukuthi kungasabi nokuhamba khona lapho kodwa ukuphungula.
Okay. But then what do you say if the crime scene had been cordoned off already as it has been depicted on the screen, but also you find people that they were able to access the crime scene?
Uthini ke ukuthi kwathi nanoma isifakiwe ke lemingcele kule ndawo yesigameko khona abantu abakwazi ukungena lapha.
Well, it will depend on who's in charge of the scene.
In charge of the
what is
scene.
happening in the crime scene.
Hayi lokhu kuzoncika ekutheni ubani ke onokuziphendelela laphaya nokuthi ubani ovumelayo ukuthi kwenzekeni lapha kule ndawo yesigameko.
What is surprising, Colonel, the reason why I'm taking you through this, although it's the evidence that took place before you arrived, it's that on the crime scene where this exhibit mentioned in paragraph 9 in your report, when Sergeant Mosia from the LCRC Springs arrived at the crime scene, he inspected the crime scene. He did not find the bullet on top of the cupboard, and he left the crime scene. There is evidence that there are people who accessed the crime scene, including members of the SAPS, and only on the following day that this exhibit was recovered on top of the cupboard, which raises some concern.
Umsiya uthini ukuthi wafika lapha ku-crime scene wafukwahlola akazange athole enhlamvu lapha phezu kwekhabhodi and khona abantu abangena lapha emva kwalokho-ke inhlamvu esithola ngosuku olulandelayo uthini ngalokho.
I don't know whether it's correct to say that Constable Musia did not find the bullet. You know, he said he realized that the scene is of such a magnitude that he needs help, and that he then summoned the necessary help.
Can I rephrase, my lord? The exhibit was not recovered at the first time when the first police attended the crime scene. I was singling out Sergeant Mosia because it's the one from the LCRC. That bullet was not recovered when the first police entered the crime scene and inspected the exhibit. It was not recovered, but it was only recovered on the following day, after the scene had been accessed by members of the public and the police officers.
Engichazayo ukuthi-ke uma efika amaphoyisa ngosuku lokuqala awazange akwazi ukuthola le nhlamvu le ngisho beka uKelem Msiya ngoba uyena owayekhona ngosuku lokuqala. Kodwa-ke emva kwalokho-ke ingasatholanga inhlamvu ngelanga elilanda kwaba khona abantu abakwaziyo ukungena lapha ku-crime scene. Kodwa-ke inhlamvu lena iyakwazi ukuthi itholakale ngosuku olulandelayo. Uthini ngalokho?
Well, it happens in some occasions that when you go to a crime scene, you inspect the crime scene, as Lucia said, you inspected the crime scene, and you don't see all the exhibits. The next day, maybe you can, when you start processing your crime scene, you'll see a lot of exhibits which you missed the previous day.
Yenza-ke ukuthi ngosuku lokuqala usufikile lapha uzama ufuna ungakutholi kodwa ngelandelayo musaqhubeka ngokuthi kulungula lapho ukwazi ukuyithola i-exhibit.
And then, thank you, Colonel. Another aspect that I wanted to cover, I was dealing with the integrity of these two exhibits and the circumstances under which they were recovered, which raises doubts whether they were real exhibits, especially the one recovered from on top of the cupboard, which was recovered on the following day. And also the firearm that was received in an open seal bag and not processed throughout the ballistic system. Okay, do you get my point?
Kukhona ke umngabaza ngifanele ngibeke lana ukuthi ke okokuqala kukhona lenhlamvu le engatholakalanga ngalolu suku lokuqala ngiyobheka lapha futhi ke nesiphamu esalethwa wasithola sisesikhwameni esivulekile nokuthi ke le exhibit lena ayizange ifakwe ku-admin system yakuzwisa konke lokho.
My lord, I don't see anything wrong in both two instances.
Angiboni lutho olubi ngalezinto ezikhulunywe ngazo.
Okay. Lastly, Colonel, what I want to clarify from you as a specialist, is it a duty of the specialist or it's a duty of any member of the South African Police Service to go and take measurements from the suspects?
Manje umsebenzini wochwepheshe ukuthi bayokala abasolo.
My lord, it depends on what examination or investigations you are doing. If you only need the height of the person or anything, any member from the LCRC who can take measurements can do that.
Hayi kufuneka ekutheni yini esizama ukuyithola kodwa ke uma ukuthi sifuna nje ubude umuntu noma umuphi osenzela LCRC angakwazi ukwenza lokho.
In cases where it's ballistic related, you need an analyst or specialist to do the measurements, not just an event.
Kodwa masikhuluma ngezinto ezithintelana ne-ballistic udinga umuntu owuchwepheshe ukuthi ahambe ayokwenza ayokala lento afanele ayikale.
Can you unpack it for me? How is it ballistically related, taking the measurements from the accused person? Maybe this.
Angichazeke ukuthi kuhambelana kanjani ne-ballistic ukuthi uyothatha ubude bomsolo.
My lord, in instances where we have a bullet trajectory, we want to determine the height of a person. Can the person of this height be able to shoot in this position? Then we need to have the measurements of the persons.
Kwesinye isikhathi uma sifuna ukwazi ukuthi ke inhlamvu lena ihambe kanjani, fanele sihlole ukuthi umuntu onobude obungaka angakwazi yini ukudubula inhlamvu ezohamba ngale ndlela.
Because the measurement will be related to the bullet trajectory that was recovered at the scene.
Ngoba ke lokho ke kuzofanele kuhambelane nale nhlamvu lena etholakale endaweni yesigameko.
But how can you be able to determine that when you do not know the position of the person who was firing shot? Because it may not that he was standing. Am I correct?
Lo uzokwazi kanjani ke ukuthi ungazi ukuthi wayeme kanjani lo muntu wayedubula mhlawumbe ubemile mhlawumbe eguqile.
My lord, you look at the position of your entrance bullet wound, the height of the bullet, it will give you the correct trajectory.
Manje
And
ubheka
you
ke
know how this person was standing.
manje uzobheka ukuthi inhlamvu lena ingene kanjani ngenqebe engene ngalo nokuthi iphume kanjani ngenqebe inhlamvu lena iphume ngalo ukuze ukwazi ukuthi uhlaziye ukuthi lo muntu lona ubeme kanjani medubula.
And then how will then assist the findings? Your findings now, how will that information assist the findings, in the findings now?
Manje uma usuthole lolo lwazi lingakusiza kanjani ke ekutheni uthole lo mphumela wakho?
When we are examining now the exhibits.
My lord, it assists me in doing a crime scene reconstruction. When you do an incident reconstruction, if a person has been shot, you need to be able to place the deceased in the crime scene, the position where he was and how he was standing. So it helps a lot when you do that.
Lokho kuyasiza ekutheni ngibuyise ukuthi ke lobugebengu mebenzeka benzeke kanjani nokuthi ke ngikwazi ukuthi wayeme kuphi olimele uma ngelesi sikhathi ke edutshuka.
Colonel, I also put it to you with the due respect that taking measurements from the accused persons is solely the duty of any general member of the SAPS, and you were not supposed to go and conduct that part of the investigation.
Beyakwana ukuthi ke ukuyokala ubude bomsolwa ungenziwa noma iliphi iphoyisa bengaphuqeleli ukuthi kube wena ohamba uyokala umsolwa.
If I had to determine the position of the shooter, not looking at the height of the shooter, I won't be able to do that. And if anybody can do that, the measurements and send them to me, I won't use them. I want to do my own measurements so that I can link that to my investigation or to my trajectory.
Ngiyaphoqelela ukuthi ke ngihambe ngiyozikalela ukuze ngithole lo lwazi elidinga ukulisebenzisa uma kuthunyelwe omunye ukuthi ayokala lapha ngeke ngikwazi ukusebenzisa le ndlela akale ngayo.
And I put it to you, Colonel, that when you were doing the examination in paragraph 9, you were no longer objective after having done that investigation which you were not supposed to do. You had an added interest. And that is why after receiving the first negative results in paragraph 6, you did not stop. You ended up by going to the police station and book out another exhibit to come and force the results that you came in conclusion in this report.
Ngingekusho ke kwena ukuthi ke emva ukuthi ke uthole lo mphumela otholile lapho ku paragraph 6 waqhubeka waya le emaphoyiseni wayofuna lesi esinye isibhayo yokhipha esinye isibhayo ngoba ubusuchemile.
My Lord, I was objective in this matter from the beginning until the end.
Cha bengachemile kusuka eqaleni kokusenza ngomsebenzi ngize ngiyofika ekugcineni.
But the fact speaks for itself. Thank you, my Lord. I have no further questions.
Okay. What's the time now, sir?
12:25, my lord.
Yeah, I know you've got re-examination. I just want the colonel to comment because he hasn't been taken through this. For instance, the postmortem. You went to attend the postmortem.
Waya yini ukuyohlola lapho bekuhlola khona umzimba kamufi?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I attended the postmortem.
Why did you go there?
Yindaba wayeyokwenzani?
Was it ballistic related or you were in a frolic of your own?
My Lord, it was ballistic related. I wanted to see the
Yes.
wound and to determine how far was the firearm from the deceased when the shot was fired.
Ngangiyohlola ngoba ngifuna ukuzwisisa kahle ukuthi kuhambelana kanjani nokudutshulwa kwey'nhlanzi.
And also get the height of the deceased and the height of the position of the wound.
Kuze ngithole futhi nobude bukamufi and futhi ngithole nokuthi ke inhlamvu lena yangena ebudeni obungakanani nomzimba wakhe.
And the clothing which was worn by the deceased, did you see it or investigate it or what is the position?
Impahla ezazigqoke umufi nazo wazihlola wazibona kwenzeke njani.
That's correct, my Lord. I have seen the exhibit, the clothing of the deceased, and I examined them. They were burning around the entrance wound, which indicates that there's gas that burnt the clothing of the deceased. So it creates, if it's a contact shock, all the gas and the unbent and partially bent propellant pump would penetrate into the body of the deceased. But if it's a loose contact, what will happen is the bullet will create a very small gap between the body of the deceased and the muzzle of the firearm. The gas that escaped from that gap is the one that burned the clothing that the deceased was wearing around the entrance wound.
Well, ngayihlola
Questions
impahla
arising
zesigqoko.
from the court's clarification questions? Any question? About the body post-mortem?
Just one.
Yes?
So it is indicated in the postmortem that there were exhibits that were taken from the fingernails of the deceased. Are you aware of that?
Uthe lapha ku-postmortem khona ke okwathathwa ngaphansi kwenzipho zikamufi.
My Lord, I only concentrated on the ballistic related. I didn't look into that.
Cha mina ngaqonda ngqo kuloko okuhambelana neballistic lokunye ngizange kunaki.
No, I thought as a member of the investigating team here from the beginning, you could have had knowledge as to what happened from there. But don't worry, we'll ask the relevant people. Thank you. But there were those exhibits that were extracted by the doctor, and they were sealed. So somebody must just account on them.
They should have sent them to biology for analysis, my lord.
Yes, that is the reason why I'm saying you will take that up with the relevant people.
Hayi lokho ngabe kuyiswe kwabiology ukuthi bayokuhlona.
Thank you, my lord. I have no questions. Thank you.
No questions, ma'am.
Right. Well, on the post-mortem report, they say they send them for DNA analysis.
That's correct, my lord. They could have sent them for DNA analysis.
Manje ke okunye ke kwadluliselwa lapha kuyobheka ulibofuzo i-DNA.
Yes, Mr. Baloi, are you ready?
That's a good, please, my lord. My lord, Mr. Ramosepele referred to some literature from the AFTE. I don't know if there'll be any objection if we hand up the literature as an exhibit. Just to spare everybody the effort to do the research on the topic. I think it's the same literature that Mr. Ramosepele referred to. I'll just give copies to council. I don't know if there's any objection from the side of Mr. Ramosepele to use the literature.
My cross-examination, I asked Lieutenant Colonel Mangena of certain concepts to define and to assist us in understanding the theory and the method he applied to come to the findings. I know this document, but I've never referred to it. This is the so-called AFTE glossary of terms. I did not refer to this, but I referred to certain concepts from it. And the question that I asked in particular was with respect to the three principles of the theory of identification. And Mr. Mangena had a document from his side that he read from. I did not refer him to any specific documentation.
It's fine, Madam. We can come back to this document. Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, Mr. Ramosepele, as he just mentioned, refers to three principles of identification for comparing fired bullets as laid down by the Association of Firearms and Tool Examiners. It's the abbreviation AFTE. It's used to describe the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners. And for now, I'll refer to the third principle that Mr. Ramosepele referred to, and it's stated as follows. It says, the heading says, the three principles of the AFTE theory of identification as it relates to 2 marks are, and as Mr. Ramos simply just pointed out, there are 3. We'll refer to the first and the second one at the later stage, but I just want us to focus on the third one, which reads as follows. Currently, the interpretation of individualization, identification is subjective in nature, founded on scientific principles and based on the examiner's training and experience. And here, I just want the emphasis to fall on the examiner's training and experience. Is it correct that in addition to the training and experience of an examiner, certain authors also add to the list the expertise, training and judgment of the examiner?
That's correct, madam.
Khona izimiso ezintathu ezihambelana nokuhlaziya ezihlanganiswa awochwepheshe ba lo mkhakha lo wokuhlaziya inhlamvu. Manje ke ukubuza ukuthi ke lokho okufundisa lapho kwafundiswa yini ochwepheshe benodiya?
Now, do you have these attributes to make the accurate identification?
Bathe unabo yini lobu buchwepheshe ukuthi ungakwazi ukuthi ukhombe ngokufanele?
That's correct, I have, madam.
Yebo ngina.
Your experience was traversed when you testified on the 30th of August 2023, and we see that on page 9 up to 18 of the report. That's right. I think from line 9 of the record of the 30th of August 2023 up to page 18.
Isipiliyoni sakho lapho siveziwe lapha kule record yamhla 30 kuyofika August uqala page 9 kuyofika page 18.
That is correct,
Is
madam.
that correct?
Yebo kunjani?
But the high watermark of your career history is that you have 29 years experience in the ballistic science.
Kusho ukuthi ke okukhulu ke kulesi sipiliyoni sakho ukuthi uneminyaka amashumi amabili nesishiyagalolunye usebenzisa lapha kwa-ballistic.
That's correct, madam.
Athi yebo kunjani?
And Advocate Mshololo also took you through your experience.
Advocate Msholo naye ke udlulile ke ekukukhombiseni noma ukuxoxeni nawe ngesipiliyoni sakho.
And in the 29 years, is it correct that your duties entail reconstruction of scenes and ballistic examination and comparison of specimen?
Manje ke lapho ke emsebenzini wakho ke ukuhlanganisa yini ukuthi uzame ukubuyisa isithombe sokuthi ubugebengu benzeke kanjani nokuthi ke uhlole ke izinto ezihambelana ne-ballistic.
That is correct, madam.
Yebo kunjani?
And as regards your training, Advocate Mshololo did this morning take you through the training that you underwent. But on page 9 of the record of the 30th of August 2023, you set out the training that you underwent, amongst others, forensic ballistic science, identification of ammunition, fire cartridges, the use of microscopic equipment.
manje kuloka akudluse kona kusho ukuthi ufunde nokuthi uhlole ukuhlanganisa nama-cartridge nokusebenzisa ke ama-microscope emsebenzini.
That is correct, my lord.
Okay, bunjani?
On page 10, you refer to the training in internal ballistics, the functioning of a firearm mechanism during the firing process, external forensic ballistics, terminal forensic ballistics.
Ushuthi lapho kufunde izindlela ezahlukene zokuhlola isibhamu nokudubula kwazo ingaphakathi lesibhamu ukuthi lisenza kanjani nokuthi isibhamu sonke sisenza kanjani u-ballistic.
That is correct, my lord.
Okay, bunjani?
And on page 11, paragraph or line 12, you mentioned that in August 2002, you attended the course presented by the Federal Bureau of Investigation of United States, which comprised the following: a bullet trajectory, construction techniques in firearm identification, gunpowder and gunshot residue.
Ufesileke futhi nokuthi ngo-August 2022 wayofundela ngaphansi kwe-FBI yase-United States ukuthi ke inhlamvu uma uzama ukubuyisa isithombe sokuthi inhlamvu ehambe kanjani nokuthi ke isibhamu ukwazi kanjani ukuthi usho ukuthi isibhamu lesi siyiluphi ohlobo nanokuthi ke i-gunpowder nokuthi ke okusalelayo makudutshilwe esibhamini kusebenza kanjani.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
And just at the bottom of that page, line 19, you mentioned that in November 2010, you attended a course presented by Ross and Gardiner, and the course entailed, amongst others, crime scene reconstruction level 1.
Bathi la ngo-November 2010 kukhona izifundo owayezifundela ezazi zethulwa uRoss and Gardner nokuthi ke ukhona ke lawa uhamba uyofundela nokunye okuhambelana nokuhlola izibhamu.
That is correct. It was Ross Gardner and Tom Bever.
Yebo uRoss Gardner no Tom Bever.
And just lastly on this point, you mentioned page 8, line from line 6, that you have up to date examined in excess of 5,620 cases. You examine ballistic related cases as part of your daily task and testify on a regular basis in the courts of South Africa.
Ushiloke futhi umi wakho ukuthi wahlola wasebenza izikhathi ezihlanu ezingabe zidlula u-5,620 uhlola lapho ke kwenzeka khona ke ubugebengu nokuthi uhlole ke usebenza ngayo le ballistic nokuthi ke wathola ke amathuba ukuthi uze uzoletha ubufakazi ezinkantolo mayelana nalowo umsebenzi wakho.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
Now, since the matter was adjourned or since your evidence was adjourned in August of last year, on the 31st of August 2023, have you done any further cases, testified in any new cases?
Mhla wagcina ke ngomhla 31 August 2023 uyofika la namhlanje khona yini amanye amacala obususebenze ngawo eletha ubufakazi ngawo?
That is correct, my lord. I was doing cases on normal days, on daily basis. Currently, I'm approximately 6,000 cases that I have completed.
Abo ngaqhubeka ukwenza umsebenzi wokuhlaziya nokuhlola ballistic lapha emsebenzini. Njengamanje nje sengibona sengathi ngizeqile inkulungwane eziyisithupha zama case ebengilungisebenza ngabo.
And testifying in courts?
Kuso letha ke yini ubufakazi nasezinkantolo?
That's correct, my lord. I regularly testify in cases on most of the examinations that I have done.
Yebo ngiyaletha ubufakazi ezinkantolo ngalamacala lawa ebesengisebenze ngawo ngokwejwayelekile.
Now, Mr. Ramusepile referred you to the subjective nature of the ballistic interpretation and identification as set out in this third principle that I've just alluded to.
Baba kuRamsipili ukhulumile ngendlela okuchemile ukusebenza ngokuhlola iballistic njoba sikhulume ngazo lezi imiso ezintathu ngisho ke lesi simiso sesithathu sokuthi ufanele usebenze ngendlela engachemile.
That's correct, my lord.
Bathi yebo njani?
You testify that in addition to the class characteristics, that you also look at the individual characteristics.
Uyavuma futhi uthi ngaphandle ukuthi uhlole izimpawu ezijwayele ukutholakala khona ke lezi zimpawu ezihambelana nalenhlamvu oyibhekile ngalesikhathi.
That is correct, my lord.
Bathi yebo njani?
And that these individual characteristics on the length and the groove of the barrel of a firearm are imparted on the bullets, producing individual characteristics.
Futhi ke nokuthi ke umbhobho wesibhamu ke ushaya impawu ezithile zingafani nezinye ezidutshulayo umbhobho wesinye isibhamu eyinhlamveni.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo njani?
And these individual characteristics, are they peculiar to a specific firearm, or are they, or what is the position?
Manje lezi impawu lezi ezisheka enhlamveni zishaya isibhamu zitholakala esibhamini esisodwa yini noma zonke ibhamu zinempawu ezifanayo ezisheka enhlamveni?
My lord, they are unique to a specific firearm.
Kusho ukuthi lezi impawu lezi ziphuma ke kuphela esibhamini esithize azifani nezimpawu ezishwa esinye isibhamu.
Now, in cross-examination by Advocate Nisi about the identification of the marks, you testify that you have compiled and presented the court charts as we have seen, the Exhibit X13E series, and that you have demonstrated these unique marks that you have identified for all to see. Do you confirm that?
And futhi ke ngesikhathi ke ubuzwa uadvocate Mnisi ukwazile ukuthi ke wakhe umbiko ongene enkantolo njengo Exhibit 13.
I think the state needs to put it very clear.
I can't hear you.
I'm saying the state needs to put it very clear. It can't say for all to see. The state must bear in mind that we are not at idem on the identification of the marks by Lieutenant Colonel Mangena.
So you can't use for all to see?
Yes.
Because some of them you didn't see. Those marks, you didn't see them.
They were not there, my lord. You can't see
It's
something
semantics.
which is not
Yes.
there.
No, it's semantics.
Yes,
For all to see.
Yes.
Doesn't mean for all to see if they can be able to see that. That's how I understand it.
No, my lord. We need to be very. We need
No,
to
no,
be
because
very.
this witness-
We need to be very
this
cautious
witness-
with our wording.
This
The
witness,
state.
wait,
Sorry,
please,
madam.
just wait.
Yes.
This witness says, if you don't want to see them, you won't see them. You remember him saying that? This witness.
I don't
You don't
remember
remember
him
that?
saying,
Okay,
my lord,
fine.
if you don't want to see them,
You can't see
won't
them.
see
You
them.
won't see them. He said that.
That if somebody
Sir,
does not want
am
to
I
see them,
quoting
he
you?
won't see them.
Am I quoting correctly?
That's correct.
I listen. If you don't want to see them, they are there. If you don't want to see them, you won't see them. I'm quoting you. Okay, fine, you heard me.
But my objection, my lord, is to the effect that the
khombisile lapha kulama chart owalethile.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo unjani?
And also explain them in court.
And futhi waphinda wachaza phambi kwenkundla.
That's correct. I did that, my lord.
Yebo ngikwenzile lokho.
Now, Advocate Nisi put it to you that you have got it all wrong regarding the correct application of the consecutive matching trial. I think Advocate Nshololo also made the same proposition to you. Advocate Nisi mentioned that you've got it all wrong regarding the correct application of the CMS as imparted by Bruce Moran and John Maddock.
Advocate Minister uthi uphazamile kuletheni ke incazelo yokulandelana kwezimpawu no Advocate Mshololo naye ubekisile ukuthi khona la uphazame khona uma silandelela ke indlela okufundiswe ngayo ilaba bekufundisa ukuhlola impawu uBruce Moran naye sizana naye.
And he mentioned further that they'll demonstrate this as the trial unfolds.
Futhi bathi bazoqhubeka naloku chaza lokhu makusaqhutshekwa necala nokuqulwa kwecala.
Now, coming back to the principles of identification as referred to by Mr. Ramsipili.
Masibuyakela ke ezimisweni zokuhlola njengoba zibekwe ubaba Ramsipili.
As indicated to you, he referred to the three principles of identification.
Njengoba sekubekiwe ke kwena uPaule ngezimiso ezintathu ezisetshenziswayo.
Which he put on record.
Lezi ke azibeke ukuthi ziqoshwe.
In short, is it correct that the theory of identification as stipulated by the AFTE postulates two methods of identification?
Akulona iqiniso ukuthi laba kwa-AFTE babeka izimiso ezimbili kuphela zokuhlaziya.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi unjani?
And this is what Advocate Mshololo took you through in her cross-examination.
Lokho ke uAdvocate Mshelele akuze ngakho ngesikhathi ebuza imibuzo.
And during cross-examination by Advocate Mshololo, you mentioned that there are two methods of identification, namely the pattern matching and the consecutive matching strier or CMS.
Njengoba Advocate Mshololo ufesile ukuthi kunendlela ezimbili zokuhlola enye isebenzisa ama-pattern enye ile ekuthiwa i-CMS.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
Are these two different theories, or do they all subscribe to the theory of identification?
Lezi zinto lezi ama-theory ahlukene noma asizana ekuzameni ukukhomba impawu.
They both subscribe to the theory of identification, and you can use both of them.
Zombili lezi asetshenziswa ekuhloleni impawu futhi ungakwazi ke nokuthi uzisebenzise zombili lezi ndlela.
Now, is it correct that with pattern matching you consider all marks in totality?
Lapha ku-pattern matching usebenzisa zonke yini impawu ngokugcwala kwazo.
That is correct. You look at all marking and then you look at the pattern that they form.
Yebo ubheka impawu zonke bese ubheka ke ne-pattern ukuthi zakha yiphi i-pattern.
If, say, just to give an example, if there are 2 marks in relative position on the, if there are 6 grooves on a bullet, and on the first groove there are 2 marks in the relative position on the exhibit bullet and the test bullet, and in the second groove there are perhaps 3 marks in a relative position in a exhibit bullet and test bullet, and on the third groove there's 1 matching mark in the relative position, and perhaps on the fourth groove there are 2 matching marks, and on the fifth and sixth groove there are 3 matching marks each. Is it correct that your evidence is that you look at the cumulative aspects of these marks?
Manje umuthola ukuthi ke emseleni oqala kukhona izimpawu ezibonakalayo, kwesibili kuthiwa izimpawu ezehlukile kulomselo oqala, nowesithathu ube nezimpawu ezehlukile, nowesine nowesihlanu kanjalo kanjalo. Kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi uma usubheka ubheka ngokugcwele izimpawu zibonayo?
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani.
In fact, I think that the court used the term composite. You look at the
Inkantolo ke
composite
isebenzise
aspect of
ukuthi
the marks.
ukuhlanganisela zonke izimpawu.
That is correct.
Bathi yebo kunjani.
Now, the exhibits that your charts that you've demonstrated before this court do they qualify in terms of the pattern matching? Do they meet master in terms of the pattern matching?
Yes, amashadi lawa senzisile ayakhombisa yini ukuthi ayakwazi ukuthi kumadanisho wonke lama pattern lawa wabonile.
My lord, they qualify in both striation markings and pattern markings.
Yebo ukhombisa imigqa nama pattern.
And you've explained that with the CMS, the conservative matching strier method of identification, if you're using 3D, there must be 6 marks in a single group.
Usichazile ukuthi ngaphansi kwe-CMS kuvane kubonakala izimpawu eziyisithupha emseleni owodwa.
Or 3 marks per group of 2.
Noma ke kube nezimpawu ezintathu ezihamba zibe amaqembu amabili.
That is correct.
Athi yebo kunjani.
Now, can you just maybe clarify the court which, did you only use the CMS method in this case, or did you use both?
Manje usebenzise i-CMS kuphela noma usebenzise zombili lezi
That
ndlela?
is now including the pattern analysis as well.
Kusho ukuthi nokuhlaziya ama-pattern.
I used more the CMS, but also the pattern matching.
Yebo ngisebenzisile i-CMS kodwa ke ne-pattern matching ngiyisebenzisile.
Advocate Nisi asks you, and Advocate Mshololo also asks you the same question as to what will you do if you encounter dissimilarities and on the first and second errors of your chart, and you answer that you continue to count.
Manje ke bakuzile ko advocate Misi nomshololo ukuthi uma uthole izinto ezifanayo lapha kule mcibisho lokuqala nowesibili uzoqhubeka yini ubali?
Yes, my lord, you continue to count as long as they are in the same groove.
Yebo uma ukuthi semseleni owodwa uyaqhubeka ubali.
Now, coming back to the theory of identification as referred to by Mr. Ramsepeli, the first one, as he read it out in the report, reads as follows. The theory of identification as it pertains to the comparison of 2 marks enables opinions of common origin to be made when the unique surface contours of two marks are in sufficient agreement. And here the emphasis falls on sufficient agreement.
Manje ke njoba ekuzileke kukhona ke la bechaza khona lendende yencazelo kodwa ke ehambelana ekugcineni nokuthi kukhona indlela ezikwazi ukubonakala ukuthi kunokulandelana.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo unjani?
Mr. Mosipile also referred to the second principle of the theory of identification, which reads as follows. This sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random two marks as evidenced by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours.
Manje ke uqhubekile ke veza isimiso sesibili esikhombisa ukuthi kukhona ukuvumelana nokuthi kukhona ke izimpawu ezilingene ezikwazi ukuthi zibuyiseleke ekuvezeni ipattern.
Significance is determined by the comparative examination of two or more sets of surface contour patterns comprised of individual peaks, ridges, and furrows.
Manje ke ukufanana kwezilukuya kwalezi impawu kuhlolwa ngokuthi kuqhathaniswe ke impawu ukuthi zilingene yini ngoba kuhlolwa ke lapho okutholakala khona ukuthi kunamagquma nokuqhwebheka okubonakalayo.
Specifically, the relative height or depth, width, curvature, and spatial relationship of the individual peaks, ridges, and furrows within one set of surface contours are defined and compared to the corresponding features in the second set of surface contours.
Ukuthi kuyahlolwa ukuthi yini ubude noma ubufishane bezimpawu lezi ezitholakalayo lapha kodwa ke ekugcina kufanele ke ziqhathaniswe nezimpawu ezifanana nalezo kulenye inhlamvu.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo unjani?
Agreement is significant when the agreement in individual characteristics exceeds the best agreement demonstrated between two marks known to have been produced by different tools and is consistent with agreement demonstrated by two marks known to have been produced by the same tool.
Kuthiwa ke ukuvumelana ke kuyamukeleka uma ukuthi leso sivumelano sibheke izimpawu impawu ezingaphezulu kwalezi ekuzwanwe ngazo uma kubhekwa ke indlela lezi impawu ezimiswe ngayo eindaweni ezahlukene lapho ke kukhona khona ukuthi zimiswe ngendlela ekwazi ukuthi ilandela ke lezi zimiso ngendlela ezibekwe ngayo.
The statement that sufficient agreement exists between two marks means that the agreement of individual characteristics is of a quantity and quality that the likelihood that another tool could have made the mark is so remote as to be considered a practical impossibility.
Kusho ukuthi lezi impawu lezi siyabheka ukuthi besingeke zifananane ngalendlela ezifananana ngayo uma kuukuthi azenziwe azishiyiwe ilombhobho lo ezihlolwe ngawo.
Now, these two theories of, or these two principles that I've just alluded to refers to sufficient agreement.
Manje ke lezi imiso lezi esizibhekile zikhuluma ngokuvumelana okulingene.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo unjani?
Now, will it be correct that this AFTE principles are based on the degree of similarities and not total identity? As I've just
lokho okusetshenziswa i-FTE
Pointed out to you.
kuncike kakhulu ukuthi izinto ezifanayo zingabe zikhona yini ezilingene, hayi ukuthi ke kuzobhekwa zonke izinto ezifanayo.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjani.
In other words, the marks must be microscopically identical, or differently put, the similarities must outweigh the similarities that exist on the surface of an exhibit.
Kusho ke izinto ezifanayo zifanele zedlule konke okucishe kufane ku le ma exhibit asetshenziswa aqhathaniswayo.
That's correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjani.
Now, Advocate Minister asks you about the error rate in your career when your peers review your work. You answer that there has never been a false negative, that is, making a negative identification when a positive identification should have been made.
Ubamnisi ke ubuze ukuthi amaphutha ayenzeka yini emsebenzini wakho njengoba ke unike ayosebenza nabo ukuthi nabo abazame ukuletha isiqiniseko sokuthi umsebenzi wakho uhambe kanjani. Athi angeke kwenzeke ukuthi kube nala ukuvela khona umphumela obungafanele uvele uma ukuthi kuqhathaniswe kwatholakala umphumela osebenzisekayo.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjani.
And you mentioned that at most it was a colleague who returned an inconclusive decision.
Athi ke hayi kani ongabonakala ukuthi ungaba ke nomunye osenzayo ongavele athi yena cha impawu lezi azigcini zimnike isithombe esikwazi ukuletha isiqiniseko sokuthi khona mehluko.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo.
And when Advocate Minister further probed you, you testified that you are 100% sure that the firearm, Exhibit 2, fired the bullet found on the crime scene, and that you have no doubt in this regard.
Uba bekesimnisi ke ukubuzelwa suthi wena unesiqiniseko esigcwele sokuthi ke lesisibhamu isona esadubula lenhlamvu yatholakala endaweni yesigameko futhi akukho kungabaza onako.
That's correct, my lord. I'm 100% sure, and I'm saying with confidence that it's the right firearm.
Yebo ngishilo ukuthi nginesiqiniseko esigcwele and futhi angingabazi.
Now, the defense handed in an exhibit LM triple L 3 is the image of a bullet discharged not from the actual or exhibit firearm. This is the test that was conducted by Mr. Dave Peters, the defense ballistic expert. Now, are you able to say what is the value of this exhibit that has been handed up by the defense? What purpose does it serve?
Yini ke engazuzwa ekusebenziseni ke lesisithombe esalenhlamvu ethi Peters.
Especially in light of the fact that he used a different firearm and not the firearm that was involved in this matter.
Mase sibheka futhi nokuthi usebenzise esinye isibhamu asebenzise lesibhamu sifanele sihlole.
Now, you cannot look at one part of the bullet, especially one part of the groove of the bullet, and reach a conclusion. You have to look at the whole bullet.
Angeke ukwazi ukubheka umselo wodwa osesibhamini bese ke uthola umphumela. Kufanele ubheke yonke imisele khona enhlamvini yesibhamu ukuze ukwazi ukuthola umphumela ogcwele.
Is that what this exhibit is demonstrating?
Ikona yini lokho okukhonjiswa ile exhibit?
That's correct. It only shows the edge of one groove.
Yebo ikhombisa ke la umngcele we groove eyodwa.
Do you perhaps know what type of bullet was used by the defense expert, Mr. Peterson?
Manje uyazi ukuthi yini uhlobo lwenhlamvu olusetshenziswa uchwepheshe u Dave Peterson?
I cannot recall what type of a bullet was.
Angisakhumbuli ukuthi wasebenzisa luphi ke uhlobo lwenhlamvu.
Do you perhaps know if he fired the CMJ bullet using the exhibit firearm, exhibit 2?
Uyazi yini mhlawumbe ukuthi wasebenzisa uhlobo le-CMJ lwenhlamvu futhi edubula ngesibhamu lesi esikhombisa silethe lapha enkantolo?
Yes, my lord. I went with him to the lab to shoot his own test.
Yebo ngahambe naye elaboratory ukuthi ayodubula ke ama-test akhe.
And he used the ammunition from the same ammunition box that we had.
Usebenzise inhlamvu le evela kuleli bhokisi leli ebesinalo.
Do you know what happened to those tests?
Lawo ma-test kwenzekeni ngawo uyazi mhlawumbe?
He's in possession of those tests, my lord.
Yena ophethe lawo ma-test.
You mentioned in cross-examination by Mr. Ramos Sepeli, Advocate Minisi, and this morning by Advocate Mshololo that the damaged projectile found on the scene is CMJ. Is that correct?
Kuthiwa ke le nhlamvu elimele evela lapha endaweni yesigameko uhlobo le-CMJ.
That is correct, my lord.
Yeah.
Amongst the exhibits that have been handed up in court, there's a blue box containing ammunition.
Kulezi ikhombisa ama-exhibit alethelwa enkantolo khona ibhokisi eliluhlaza besibhakabhaka oluphethe inhlamvu.
Advocate Nshololo in her cross-examination referred to Exhibit X13C.
Advocate Msholo usebenzise i-exhibit X13C.
The test that you conducted, did you use any of the ammunition from that blue box? The box that you collected at Cleveland Police Station?
Manje wena usebenzisile yini inhlamvu ezivela kuleli bhokisi eli-blue othole endaweni ese-Cleveland?
Maybe let's put it to you in this. Where did you get the ammunition that you use for test purposes?
Asithi ke mhlambe asibeke kanje sithi wazithola phi inhlamvu wazisebenzisa kwi-test yakho?
Use the exhibits from our exhibit safe at the lab.
Asebenzise ama-exhibit asothola ku-exhibit safe isisafe esigcina kusona elaboratory.
In all of your tests?
Bonke ama-test akho?
As I said, I used the NGA, I used the Celeron ballot, I used the PMP, and then the other two, I cannot recall what manufacturer was it. And I got it also from I think it's from the lab also.
Ngisebenzise NGA ngasebenzise Celeron ngasebenzise PMP kodwa ke lezi ezimbili ezinye angazi ukuthi zakhwa yiziphi inkampani.
In cross-examination by Advocate Nisi and Mr. Ramusipili, you mentioned that the bullet that was recovered on the scene, the fired bullet, had a dent at the tip.
Ukuze ubaba Ramusipili nobamnisi ukuthi le nhlamvu le eyathola endaweni yesigameko kukhona la eyayilimele khona le phambili kwayo.
What does that dent at the tip of the bullet signify?
Manje ke lokushayiseka kwalenhlamvu ke uchaza ukuthini?
It illustrates the impact of the bullet on an object, but it was not with that high speed.
Hayi kuyakhombisa ukuthi lenhlamvu lena kukhona la yashaya khona kodwa ke ingahambi ngesivinini esikhulu.
Then Advocate Nisi asks you about whether the worn out barrel resulted in slippage on the bullet. You answered in the positive, and you explained that slippage occurs when the barrel does not fully engage the bullet. Is that correct?
Uba umnisi ukutshele ukuthi ukuguga kulombhobho wesibhamu kugcina ke kwenze ukuthi kube nokushelela lokushelela lokuthi kugcina kungalethi izimpawu ezanele enhlamvini.
Well, the slippage was visible on both the exhibit and on the test. And
Yeah.
the slippage was caused when the bullet leaves the chamber into the barrel. So there's a slippage on the bullet before it enters the barrel.
Khona ke lokushelela kwenhlamvu uma isuka lapha ku-chamber iyongena lapha ku-barrel isibhamu ukuthi ubarrel umbhobho wesibhamu.
Did you observe slippage on all the test bullets that you used?
Wathi wayibona yini slippage kuwo wonke lezi nhlamvu lezi owazisebenzisa?
That's correct, my lord. I observed slippage on the exhibit bullet on the test which were fired by Warrant Officer Rulofs and on the test that I have fired.
Wathi ngayibona le slippage kule nhlamvu lena exhibit nalezi nhlamvu ezashudutshulwa ubaba uRulofs nalezi nhlamvu engasidubula.
In cross-examination by Mr. Ramosepeli, you mentioned that you eliminated 3 firearms. The Beretta mentioned in Exhibit X1113B, a 9mm parabellum and a CZ83. Is that correct?
And kusho ukuthi ke wakwazi ukuthi uveze ukuthi lesi bhamu athu iBeretta the 9mm ne CZ83 kwangezona ibhamu ezadubula akunjalo?
That is correct, my lord.
Athi
I
yebo kunjalo.
eliminated 3 firearms. It was the CZ70, the CZ83 pistol, the 9mm shot. It was 9mm 6 hour, and I can't call the third one. The Beretta also, which is the third one.
Yebo ngakwazi ukukhipha lezi sibhamu ekusolweni iBeretta 9mm ne CZ83.
Now, all counsel question you at length about the custody and handling of the firearm in question that you retrieved at Cleveland Police Station after Warrant Officer Rulofs had dealt with the firearm. Now, was there any form of identification on the firearm?
Emva kuthiwa ke umbuzo ke eminingi mayelana nokukhuseleka kwesibhamu esatholakala eCleveland emva ukuthi sisetshenziswe Warrant Officer Rulofs.
That is correct, my lord. When you receive a firearm without a serial number, you examine the firearm. If there's no serial number engraved on the firearm, we engrave the lap number of the case that you're working on underneath the trigger guard of the firearm.
Yebo uthola isibhamu serial number esingenayo serial number kukhona esikusebenzisayo o inumber ezitholakala kwenye indawo esibhamini.
And when I went to Cleveland to book out the firearm, I immediately checked on the trigger guard if the lap number that Warrant Officer Rulofs engraved was there. And it was there. I could identify the firearm as the firearm that was examined by Warrant Officer Rulofs.
Yebo kukhona ke le trigger guard le engihlolile uqala mangifika lapha eCleveland ngabona ukuthi yayisona isibhamu sesetshenziswa Warrant Officer Rulofs.
And just finally, Advocate Minisi asked you about the splintering that we saw on photo 9 of Exhibit D of Lieutenant Colonel Mhlahlo and photo 12 of your photo album, Exhibit X13A. And the words that were used were that the splinters are not visible on your photo album, or that they are not there. Can you just clarify the position?
Kukhona ke lezingcezu zeplanke noma ama splinters lapha esithombeni esathathwa uKenneth Mhlahlo nokuthi ke lama splinters lawa awasabonakala ezithombeni ezathathwa uwena awusikazeleke ukuthi mahluko yini.
Were the splinters on your photo not there, or are they not visible? Can you just maybe clarify?
Awusikazeleke ukuthi lama splinters esithombeni sakho awubonakali noma awekho yini.
Well, some of them were not there, some were there, but they were not visible on the photo, depending on the angle that I took the photo. The angle that Warrant Officer Mhlahlo took the photo and the angle that I took the photo are two different angles. But most of the splinters that were there on photo of Warrant Officer Mhlahlo were not there on the photo that I took.
Yebo, kukhona ke ama splinters angasabona angekho kulesi sithombe engangithathile amangebe khona, kodwa ke konke lokunye ekutheni ke iengele umuntu ayithathe ngayo isithombe iyini ngoba sathatha ngama engele ahlukile, kodwa ke amanye ama splinters lawo ayengasekho ngesikhathi ngizothatha ithombe.
Thank you, Melo. These are the only aspects we wanted to take up with the witness.
Yeah, okay, what's your time there?
It's 1:18, my lord.
1:18.
Yes.
Are we sitting in the afternoon?
Well, there's a witness, my lord, that will be calling next. The exhibits that were given to my colleagues yesterday, I don't know if they've had the opportunity to go through those exhibits, but if they are ready, my lord, we can continue in the afternoon.
Okay, you tell me after lunch. For me, just one aspect, I just want to traverse, Colonel, concerning your experience. In the hierarchy of seniority in the laboratory there, how far are you? Are you at the top, bottom, middle? So in other words, who is senior to you there?
Ngifuna ukubuza ukuthi lapha emsebenzini wakho ubani ongaphezulu kwakho, ubani ongenhla kwakho?
Well, I would say I will be the third in the hierarchy because we've got a brigadier, we've got a full colonel, and then it's the lieutenant colonels.
Ngizothi ngowesithathu ngoba kukhona ubrigadier phezulu ebese kuba no full colonel, ukhona logcwele bese kuba no lieutenant colonel.
Can you give me their names?
Namagama abo?
The brigadier is Brigadier Mukabela.
Brigadier Mkabela.
That's correct.
Ubrigadier Mkhabela.
And the other gentleman?
It's Colonel Mutsepe.
Ucolonel Mtsipo olandelayo.
That's correct.
And then you follow in the hierarchy.
I follow with other lieutenant colonels in the hierarchy.
Oh, other, okay.
Ngilandelela kabanye abo lieutenant colonel abakhona la.
And concerning, am I correct? The laboratory is the biggest in South Africa.
Ilaboratory lena iyona enkulu kunazo zonke
Silverton?
South Africa eMzansi.
That is correct, man. We have only 4 laboratories.
Yeah,
in the
fine.
world. We have the Pretoria lab. is this
Pretoria
one,
lab, right?
which is the head office of them all.
Right,
And then we have one lab in KZN at Amazim Toti.
right,
We have another lab in PE. at Durban.
right.
And then the 4th one will be in Western Cape.
Yeah, no laboratory ke esePitoli iyona ke i-head office bese kuba ne head office eseManzimtoti ese-KZN ebese kuba neseGqeberha ebese kuba nenye ke ekhona eWestern Cape.
But in terms of expertise, which is the most qualified or qualifiable laboratory?
Manje ke yipi ke nochwepheshe bephezulu?
Well, I would say the head office is the one in Silverton.
In
Athi
Silverton?
mina
That's correct.
ile head office ese-Silverton enochwepheshe abaphezulu.
How many are you there?
Bangakula
The ones who do ballistic analysis.
laba ke
Like you do.
abasenza
How many
ngeballistic.
is the complement of the staff there?
Well, I
About
Because most of them are still under training.
Yeah.
So the qualified ones, I don't think we are more than 20.
Mbona
And we are
sengathi
serving 7 provinces.
abaqeqeshiwe ngibona ukuthi siyameqa amashumi amabili and futhi ke sisebenza kuma province ayisikhombisa.
Well, corresponding, if you're serving 7 provinces, it means the bulk of the investigations are done by you guys there.
That is correct, ma'am.
Must be so.
That is correct, ma'am.
Shithi okuningi ke ba balolu kuphenya okwenziwayo kwenziwa lapha kini not here.
And is it your practice that you exchange views concerning particular aspects of your investigation, as you mentioned? Is it a practice you do?
We change.
Exchange views. Let me give you about. Yeah. When I say exchange views, you say you conducted this examination of this case 636/10/1914, right? Or for whatever. When you're dealing with that case, don't you seek advice from your colleagues, exchange views about the work you are doing, or you just do it alone?
No, my lord. If I have a case and I've got a microscopic comparison that I'm doing, I'll look into it and I'll come to a conclusion. Before I can finalize my case file, I must get another analyst who will come and verify my findings on the same case now. So you'll do the checkup on the microscope that I did and look at my findings. If we do not agree on the findings, maybe I make it positive and then he makes it inconclusive. We'll get another analyst to look into it and we'll all of us look into the same exhibits.
Manje niyaxoxisana yini noma ukubonisana ngomsebenzi oniwenzayo ukuthi mhlawumbe umuthi ke wabheka ke exhibit ethize uyakhuluma yini nalabanye ukuthi babona kanjani? Yebo siyasizana uma ukuthi khona ozothi mebhekile abone sengathi mina angibonanga kahle mhlambe abe nomphumela wehlukile kwami sibizo wesithathu ukuthi eze ke azoletha isiqiniseko.
And in this particular case, you say you were assisted or checked, or you did correspond with your colleagues concerning the work you were doing. In this case,
Manje kuleli cala ke uthi wacela abanye ukuthi bazokusiza ukuthi nabo babheke.
That is correct, my lord. In this case, I have requested 4 of my colleagues to just check and confirm my findings.
Yebo ngacela kuleli lona leli cala sibhekene nalo ngacela ngisebenza nabo abane ukuthi beze bazi nabo bazohlola.
okay, thanks. Any questions arising?
Just one question.
Yes, sir.
Who was the commander during the performance of your duties in relation to 636?
Mase sibheka u636 banike owayomkhuzi ngalesikhathi wenza umsebenzi wakho.
During the
Who was your commander
when in
during
20
when you were conducting those examinations
examination mean the crime scene or the exhibits themselves?
at the laboratory?
Umenza umsebenzi wakho elaboratory mana naleli cala kwakubani umkhuzi wale ndawo nisebenza kuyona?
My lord, I am reporting to Colonel Mutsepe.
Colonel Mutsepe.
Athi ngireporta ku-Colonel Mthibi.
Because the defense.
Now, you were asked by the court about which one of the 4 labs is the biggest. You call that question?
Ubuzwe enkantolo ukuthi yiphi i-laboratory enkulu kunazo zonke ukuze khumbula lo mbuzo.
Is the Silverton one?
Ithe ile yase Silverton.
And how do we determine bigness in terms of the number of cases that they do, or how do you determine that?
Ngicela wazi ukuthi uchaza kanjani kubukhulu.
The workload that we had and the number of personnel that we have.
Uya ngokuthi umsebenzi ungakanani umthamo umsebenzi esiutholayo futhi ke nokuthi ke abantu abasenza khona bangakanani.
And the other clarification in terms of the accreditation of the labs. are they equally qualified in terms of the operating standards and the policies that they employ?
Ake sikhulume ke ngobuchwepheshe ba labantu abalapha ele ku ba qualify kanjani?
My lord, with the accreditation, with the policies, and we're using the same policies on all 4 labs, and then if there's anything that needs to be changed, all 4 provinces will meet and will discuss that before there can be any changes implemented.
And then further, with regard to the qualifications and the training of those members in other labs, is it done by the same trainers and examiners and brigadiers that are qualified in this field?
Manje labanye kulama yamalab bafundiswa into efanayo abantu abanye ababodwa noma kwenziwa kanjani?
We're using the same training procedures and same manuals for all the four branches.
Senzisa indlela eyodwa namamanyala afanayo kuwo wonke ama-branch.
And finally, the witness that is going to follow you, Colonel Sereo, where does he rate in terms of the hierarchy that you discussed with?
Colonel Serero yena umanda onaphi ke nala emsenzini wakho uthi phezulu kangakanani?
He's a lieutenant colonel and he's also a group leader, so we are on the same level.
Hayi siselevelini efanayo.
And then just before I finalize, and warrant officer Ntini, at the time he was a warrant officer, where is he now? Is he still in the same rank or has he now joined you in the level of lieutenant colonel?
Warrant officer Ntini usekuphi manje ngoba usephakanyisiwe yini waba u-lieutenant colonel?
In 2014, when we attended the crime scene, he was a warrant officer, but currently he's a captain.
Okay.
Manje 2014 why you warrant officer usewukapteni manje?
Okay, thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you, my lord.
Yes.
I've got no questions.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you, my lord. I have no questions. Thank you.
Can I just want clarity? When you compiled this report, you were a captain, am I correct?
Ngesikhathi ke ufaka ubhala lo mbiko lona wawusewukapteni kanjani?
My lord, when I attended the crime scene, I was a captain, I think. And after that, I became a major and then lieutenant colonel.
Ngesikhathi ke ngiya endaweni isigameko ngangise ngangise-ukapteni emva kwaloko ngabe sengeba umajor emva kwaloko ngaseba u-lieutenant colonel.
So when you completed the report in Exhibit X13C, which rank were you holding?
X13.
X13C, the one we've been dealing with since the morning.
Lo mbiko X13C wawusu kuyiphi rank wenza lo mbiko?
I was a lieutenant colonel.
Ngangu-lieutenant colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Are you going to hand over that document, the one you were reading?
We'll discuss that with
No, you
my-
don't discuss it. I was listening. You must send it in. Because
If I may assist my colleague, I've just gotten a message from our expert that he's going to utilize the same in his
The what?
evidence. He's going to utilize
Yeah,
this
so what?
document, so it may be admitted as evidence.
yeah, fine. No
As an
problem. It
exhibit.
has to be admitted because you quoted it and your learned colleague here quoted it. Unless you're behaving like African witch doctors, they die with the secret of healing people.
Yeah,
You
so
know that. You know that story.
now they part it, man.
No, they'll never tell you how they cure cancer. They just die with it. That knowledge.
My ancestors told me, man.
That's
that
okay,
not
fine.
must come to me.
Fine,
My lord,
okay.
it may be marked as an exhibit. I think it's
Exhibit?
triple L5.
Triple?
Yes.
L5, my lord.
Triple L5. Okay.
But we've agreed with my colleagues that we may adjourn until Monday.
Monday.
It's also the witness' birthday today, my
Oh,
lord.
that's all.
So he deserves an afternoon off.
Okay, fine. All right. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll adjourn until Monday. Then.